strike goal in Sochi.
Sensational!
The highest score ever recorded.
This is NBCSN.
California is known for sun, sand, surf, and in the motorsport world, it's renowned for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. It's less than an hour to race time, and as the starting grid bustles with pre-race preparations and activity, almost 100,000 fans have taken their vantage points, and some of those in unique Long Beach style. And they've come to see who will add their name to the legendary list of those who have won here. Like Andretti, like Unser, Tracy, and of course Juan Pablo Montoya. He's part of almost a third of today's field who have stood in victory lane here in Long Beach and celebrated in the path of greats. And one of those legends is Michael Andretti, who hopes to add to his family's history here with two of his drivers on the front row of the grid for today's event. Welcome to IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon, as we set the stage for this afternoon's 80-lap race. There's nothing like a beach party, and this is the 40th time that it has happened here. Hi folks, Lee Diffie with you at Long Beach, California for round 2 of the Verizon IndyCar Series for 2014. It's also the first IndyCar Series race for NBCSN. Of course, the season opener was 2 weeks ago on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. And Marty Snyder, as we traverse the continent and come here to California, one of the sport's biggest names continues to live on strong.
Well, Lee, Long Beach is synonymous with the name Andretti. In fact, Michael and Mario Andretti combined to win the first 4 IndyCar races at this track. And as an ownership group, they've won 2 of the last 4 races. Today, as you mentioned, Andretti Autosport owns the front row. Ryan Hunter-Reay will start from the pole, and James Hinchcliffe, his teammate, right beside him. Coming up in a moment, I'll talk to the front row duo and find out why this historic race is so significant to the Andrettis and to Ryan Hunter-Reay personally. And I'll also ask him about the standing start today, which we expect to be very exciting. Have the teammates worked out a deal? We'll find out that in a moment. Now let's welcome to our IndyCar team, Kelly Status. Kelly.
Well, Marty, just behind that all-Andretti front row begins the French invasion. Sébastien Bourdais, who won this event 3 years in a row, starting back in 2005, will start third. His fellow countryman starts in row 3. That's Simon Pagenaud. He was runner-up here back in 2012 and would no doubt love to add another French name to that illustrious list of winners here at the Roar by the Shore. Here's Kevin Lee.
Kelly, we are accustomed to seeing Andretti Autosport start up at the front, but normally they have company with the Penske and Ganassi teams. They have 7 cars, but their best starter is Scott Dixon, who's never had much luck at this track. And also look at Will Power. This is only the 2nd time he did not advance out of the first qualifying segment, but he's been fast this weekend. He was fastest in the warm-up this morning, and remember, he won from 12th here 2 years ago.
And Kevin, speaking of Will Power, when he finished runner-up 3 times in succession in the Verizon IndyCar Series, one may have thought he was done. However, the Penske driver late last season hit the reset button, and ever since then, he's been on a tear.
Whoa, no! Power's in the wall! It's happened again.
It is hard to believe that we are looking at this for a 3rd consecutive year.
It's depressing, man, to lose a championship that way again. The start of the year, it wasn't a lack of pace or anything. In the first race, we got ran over. The second race, we did a 2-stop strategy. Everyone else did 3, and then I got hit in the pits.
Contact on pit road between Tristan Vautier and Will Power.
4th race, he had an engine issue.
Massive fire on Will Power's car.
It just started off with a bunch of things. When you feel that you're not a championship contender anymore, it puts you in a little bit of a different mindset, so you can start taking more risks.
Power goes to the lead on the streets of Houston.
Will Power would lead Scott Dixon to the line.
It can be a relaxing feeling going into a race, knowing, not the pressure of the championship or points. You can just go and race hard.
Will Power is a 3-time winner at Sonoma Raceway.
Winning at Fontana is definitely the biggest win for me.
3rd win of the year for Penske's Will Power.
Crossing that finish line was a big deal. Very satisfying.
Will Power in that Verizon number 12 machine out in front.
He's in command right now.
He comes weaving down the front straight.
Win number 22 for Will Power.
Great way to start 2014.
Even though he finished fourth in the championship, I sensed a different Will Power, and I sensed that coming into this season.
Well, it is a different Will Power, and you and I have talked about it some in the offseason, some, this weekend as well. How is your attitude different overall this year, you feel like?
Well, finishing from the second half of last year, it was definitely, when I was out of the points, more aggressive. And that's my approach this year. Definitely more relaxed, but just getting the most out of every race, and not even thinking about where I am in the points or any of that stuff.
Is it almost an attitude of the only thing that matters is winning?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here to do, You're here to win. Obviously, where we're starting is a little bit different. You got to start thinking about, a top five's a good day from back there, but anything's possible. You never know what can happen in these races, so we'll be doing everything we can.
You mentioned where you start today. It is 14th, and that's one of the worst starting positions for you on a street course. How do you win from 14th?
It's going to be a strategy. I mean, it's got to go yellow at the right time for us. Really, I mean, to get to the front from there, it's kind of hard to pass here. That'll be difficult, but we'll do our best, and hopefully Mr. Cindric puts me in some good holes to run hard and see what we come up with.
Love how he puts the pressure back on Tim Cindric there. It should be a lot of fun. He's had the fastest car all weekend, Kevin. Will Power starts 14th.
Well, this guy has also been fast all weekend, and he's won here 3 times. Sebastian Bourdais will start third. The Mystic people are here with us. I think you're settling in pretty nicely to your new team, KVSH.
Yeah, it's working really good. Obviously, we still have a lot of things to explore, and we're building the synergy. But it's working really good. Everybody's happy to be working with each other, and it's kind of gelling. So it's a good feeling.
You have experience with standing starts. What do you expect today?
Smooth and fast. Hopefully, it's not easy with these cars, and it's not easy for anybody. So. We'll just do the best we can, and the car was really fast the whole week, like you said, so just going to try and keep it up. It was good again this morning in the warm-up. Just get a good lunch and, stay out of trouble.
Real quick, you're the only Chevy in the top 6. What's key for you today?
Doesn't matter, Right now, I just want to get that bow tie to the front. I think we've been quick. The car's been consistent. We're just going to think about our race and get everybody a good result.
Sebastian Bourdais looking to get back to victory lane for the first time since 2007. Kelly?
Well, Kevin, Joseph Newgarden made a habit of coming from the back of the pack to finish strong last year. He did it again at St. Pete, starting 22nd and finishing 9th. Joseph, you qualified 4th, your best start in 2 years. What is this team capable of now starting up front?
Well, we're capable of anything, and I think right now in IndyCar is a really interesting time. You got a lot of good teams, a lot of good drivers. Everyone's pretty capable of doing well, and for us, we've had a great off-season. We've gone through a couple transitions within the group, but we took it all in strides, and I think we're in great position today to deliver a good result. And really, that's going to be the name of the game for us all year long. It's a long championship. We got to be finishing races well inside the top 5 and top 10 every weekend. So coming out of here with a clean finish is the goal that we're setting.
How prepared are you for the standing start?
I think we're as prepared as we can be. I mean, we haven't done one this year yet, but last year standing starts were kind of introduced again to IndyCar racing. I thought they went pretty well for me at Houston, and everywhere else there we did them. So, I'm sure everyone's nervous today. It's going to be the first one of the year, and everyone's got to work out all the kinks to start with. But I'm feeling pretty good about it. If we get off clean on the line, don't have any incidents, is in turn 1. That's going to be kind of our number 1 point that we need to look at. We get through turn 1 clean, good start, and then I think we'll be looking good for the rest of the day.
Well, it must be a promising start to the season for team owner Sarah Fisher. Sarah, how does this small one-car team compete with the big powerhouses, the Ganassis and Penske's?
We're really lucky as a small team. We have an incredible group of very talented people, and they work extremely hard. So it's not just one individual that makes up the team, although we have a bunch of superstar lineup, I think, within our team. So they've worked really hard this weekend. They put together some great stops at St. Pete, some great strategy, and just overall preparation for the season.
All right, the 67 car starting from the second row, Lee.
And Kelly, here's a little nugget for later on. Joseph Newgarden was quickest in this morning's warm-up. We'll see if that was an omen. To the championship points, there of course has only been one round. There's some bonus points sprinkled throughout there for pole positions and leading a lap and leading the most laps. But at the end of the day, Will Power has a 12-point advantage over Ryan Hunter-Reay, who said on the streets of St. Petersburg, getting second was fine. Getting as many points at the beginning of a season as you can saves you from trying to scramble and get them at the end of the season when the championship is coming to a close. We'll see how that pans out And speaking of Ryan Hunter-Reay, we'll hear from the 2012 champion when we come back on a glorious day in Southern California. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon and IndyCar. Driving Technology, 2014 Verizon IndyCar Series. As we welcome you back to IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. If you have never been to the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, I can't encourage you strongly enough. What a great time, what a great place, what a great view. They're the kind of things that you hear all weekend long as we come to the pinnacle here on race day. You know, whether it was in the Formula 5000, the F1, or the IndyCar era, certainly racing's royalty have not only graced, but they have ruled these streets. And one family in particular, the Andrettis. Of course, Mario, the only one to compete in all three eras, and he had one win in Formula 1 before going on to get the very first win in IndyCar, backed that up again the following year. And then his son, Michael, made it 3 in a row for the Andrettis. And of course, special times for Michael getting his first and last career win here on the streets of Long Beach. But Marty, as team ownership, this family continues to roll on strong.
Indeed, as we mentioned, they've won 2 of the last 4 races here. These guys would love to make it 3 of the last 5. We'll talk to the guy on the pole first. And, you know, maybe other than the Indy 500, for you personally and for the Andrettis, why is Long Beach so significant?
Oh, there's no event like it. You know, the atmosphere, the history to this place. This place was packed on Friday. It gives you an idea of just how popular it is. But the layout's great, and, you know, the Verizon IndyCar Series here just does a phenomenal job of putting on a great show. So it's a good one to get a win at. We've done that. Hopefully we'll be able to do it again, and with a great team with the number 28 DHL Honda. It's going to be a tough day, though.
You get to start beside this guy on the front row. Teammates on the front row. So at a place that's so difficult to pass on, James, is it critical today more than ever maybe to start up front?
Yeah, I think so. You know, and it's always nice having a clear view into turn 1 here, just because turn 1 at Long Beach invites opportunists, I guess. So it's nice to hopefully stay out of that mess. And track position is huge, but I think the tire strategy is going to be a big game today. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, have we worked out a deal for turn 1? Who's leading into turn 1?
Did you want it, or do you want me to?
I thought we talked about it.
We're going to flip a coin right before we...
Now we do some sort of deal, right?
Yeah, it's, you know, standing start. The first, when you plan something, it all goes out the window. Oh, rock, paper.
1, 2, 3, rock, paper, scissors. Who won?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Who is it? Hinch gets to lead into turn 1, so you just lost it on rock, paper, scissors.
I went with rock on that one, yeah.
Don't ever go with rock, dude. Don't ever go with rock. Hey, if you want to ride with Ryan Hunter-Reay this afternoon, you'll need the IndyCar 14 app. You can visit Verizon.com/IndyCar, the App Store, or Google Play. Verizon and IndyCar driving technology. Speaking of driving, there's a young man who's been doing that quite impressively in 2014. He's with Kevin. Kevin.
Marty, this is 23-year-old Brit Jack Hawksworth, who came up through the Mazda road to Indy, won 3 times last year in Indy Lights, but has been very impressive. One of 4 rookies in IndyCar this season, qualified 8th at St. Pete, 5th here this weekend. We knew you were fast, you had confidence, but did you expect to run up front this quickly?
I mean, I knew the team were going to do a good job, and they have done a good job, a really good job, and they've given me a good car, and you know, we've been able to put it to good use. And this weekend we had a good qualifying, and this morning in warm-up the car felt really good. So I mean, the difficult thing today is going to be to know how the temperature is going to affect the car. This morning qualifying is a little bit cooler. The car seems to be working really well, so hopefully that continues, and we'll just see what the weather does.
You impressed in the race at St. Pete. Unfortunately, you didn't get to the finish because of the mishap on the restart. What's the approach here today? How important is it to get to the finish, or I'm racing to win?
I mean, it's important to get to the finish, but you know, the best way to do that is be aggressive and try to win the race. So, you know, try and make a clean start, try have good pace in the first stint, and just see how the race unfolds. I think the strategy is going to be interesting today, see how the yellows fall and stuff like that. But of course, we want to be there at the finish, and you know, we want to be at the front, so we're going to go for it.
Good luck, Jack.
Thank you.
Kelly?
Kevin, Simon Pagenaud will start from the 6th position. Simon, last year your 2 wins came on Street Circus, Belle Isle and Baltimore. You've also finished 2nd here. How do you put it all together today to get that victory?
Well, the starting position is better, so I think I think we have a great package. The car's been really fast. The Honda engine seems to be super strong here, and my SPM team has given me a great car. So I'm very confident. The car is very strong in race pace, so we'll see.
All right, Simon Pagenaud will be looking to challenge those Andretti boys when the lights go out, Lee.
Thanks, Kelly. In addition to the Grand Prix, there's another race that's very popular. It's the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race. Stars of screen and sport, including NASCAR America's Kyle Petty.
We're having so much fun. How can a charity event bring us such joy?
Toyota donates $5,000 to Racing for Kids on behalf of each participant and another $5,000 to the Winning Races charity of choice. Toyota has donated more than $2 million to the Racing for Kids organisation since 1991. You're about to see Olympic sprinting star and the fastest woman in the world, Carmelita Jeter, have a little bit of trouble, but we do need to congratulate the winner, Brett Davin, the actor from MTV series Awkward.
These people are actors and entertainers, and they're just crazy nice until you put a helmet on their head. And then they go just crazy, crazy.
It's one of the signature points of this wonderful event. You know, this is a wonderful event for a selection of drivers because it was their very first career win. We mentioned Michael Andretti earlier. How about PT, Paul Tracy, a 4-time winner, and he joins us in the NBCSN booth on several occasions this year, including today. And of course, another name on that list, Juan Pablo Montoya. Yep, IndyCar, Formula One, NASCAR Sprint Cup, and now he returns to the Verizon IndyCar Series, driving the Verizon IndyCar this year. Let's rewind the clock when he was driving for arch-rival team Chip Ganassi Racing back in 1999 here on the streets of Long Beach. He was chased down by Dario Franchitti. However, he was able to hold Dario off for his very first career win. How about that? Will we be able to see a repeat of that today? JPM's doing it a little tough, but we'll see if he can come through the field. Hey, and speaking of Dario Franchitti, he may be retired, but he's here, and we'll hear from him when we come back.
Last year was my first year, of course, with AJ Foyt Racing. The Long Beach, the one, everything was perfect.
Takuma Sato having a beautiful drive.
Finally, all come together.
For the first time, a Japan-born driver is going to win a major open-wheel race in North America.
That was just a fantastic day.
Takuma Sato takes the twin checkers. Yeah, French guys, love you!
We have a very good package again for 2014. I'm confident that we can compete in strongly.
Despite being a veteran of some 90 Formula One Grand Prix, Takuma Sato never won in Formula One. However, now in his 5th year of IndyCar, he is an IndyCar winner. He's the defending winner here on the streets of Long Beach, and he is so popular, some of his fan club from Japan, a couple of dozen, flew over from Tokyo to see the diminutive Japanese driver who is extremely popular. You know, one thing that is terrific that the organisers of this event have done is put together a collection and exhibition celebrating the previous 39 occasions that this great event has run, and that's where Robin Miller caught up the 4-time series champion, Dario Franchitti.
Dario, the other day we got to watch your induction into the Walk of Fame out here, which is pretty cool. You won this race in 2009. I think it was your very first podium in kart. I always say, after the Indy 500, if you're an IndyCar driver, this is the race you want to win.
This one was always special to me. You'd always heard about Long Beach, Long Beach, Long Beach, and when I came here the first time in '97, I was like, oh yeah, no, I get it pretty quickly. Like I say, and the first podium here was really special.
But I just remember you getting out of the car after 2009, a lot more animated than you were, you know, no offense to Detroit or Cleveland or Milwaukee or anywhere else, but it was like, now this is our little Monaco.
Yeah, absolutely, and some of that was what Long Beach means, and some of that was the fact that I'd been away, I'd done the NASCAR experiment, to come back and to prove to myself that I could still do it. That was, I think, where that animation came from.
I always tell people, other than Indianapolis, the fans here are the best because they all pay attention, they all know everything about our sport. So it's just more important that this race always stays an IndyCar race. You know, Formula One's kind of trying to make a bid, maybe try to get it. They can't lose this race.
Absolutely, IndyCar can't lose it. And I think for Long Beach as well, it fits well with IndyCar. It's a relaxed atmosphere. You know, you've got the paddock is open, the fans can see it. If an F1 race came here, it would be a much different show. The track would have to change, the fans wouldn't get the access they get. So, you know, F1 puts on great shows at great places. Long Beach, I don't think it's for them.
The original Long Beach course, it was one of the coolest racetracks ever.
I've raced here, I think, on 3 different layouts, but that one, when you see the pictures, you know, of Villeneuve and Hunt and all those guys coming down over the crest there, I don't think it gets much better than that.
That was the first winning car in 1975.
Unlike today, they had a pretty rudimentary understanding of aerodynamics. They were like the guys in the right stuff. They were sort of testing things with, let's see if this works. Because it was so rudimentary, the pace of development was unbelievable. Go up the years and see how much these cars changed, and you know, look at the Lotus there with Mario and the Lotus 77. It was pretty cool.
It certainly was very cool, and this is very cool as well. It's amazing how much this event and city has grown over the years, from that first Formula 1 race, first Formula 5000 race that Brian Redman won in 1975, to the colourful commercial festival we see now. Sam Posey takes us for a walk along the beach.
It was special from the beginning, chiefly because it was so unlikely. Formula 1 at Long Beach? The place was a dump. Rotting old buildings, empty streets, vast gray mud flats. We already had one U.S. Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, a fabulous track, beautiful fall colors, huge crowds. Why another? Because of the singular vision of a British-born promoter named Chris Pook. Pook saw Hyatts and Sheratons leaping out of the ooze. He saw acres of abandoned waterfront reclaimed by a gleaming convention center. And the catalyst for all this would be the race. As the idea gained traction, people hailed Long Beach as a second Monaco. Both tracks ran along harbors and both used city streets, but Pook wanted his race to have an ethos of its own, a mix of sunny skies, movie stars, the whole car-based culture of California with the great freeways, the 405 in the harbor, funneling halter-top girls and their bronze boyfriends right into Chris's rapidly filling grandstands. IndyCars first raced at Long Beach exactly 30 years ago. The winner, Mario Andretti, in a Newman Haas Lola. He won again the next year. Then his son Michael won. And then Mario won a third time. But just when you thought the Andrettis owned the place, Al Unser Jr. began winning, 4 straight and then 2 more. It was the Capulets and the Montagues dueling in the streets, a foreshadowing of today's battles between stars such as Scott Dixon, Will Power, Tony Kanaan, and defending Long Beach champion Takuma Sato. Long Beach, its vitality undiminished, honors the past and looks eagerly to the future.
Incredible how it's evolved over the decades, isn't it? And these people are perfectly poised to watch what is predicted to be a pretty amazing race this afternoon on the streets of Long Beach. And Sam mentioned strength and strong. How about this? Do you remember the Blue Demon? No, not the Mexican wrestler, Paul Tracy, the immensely popular Canadian. Well, guess what? He's part of our NBC SN commentary team, and he'll join us on the other side of this break. You're watching IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. If you're an open-wheel racer, the desire to win the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach is so immense, it's incredible. Well, Paul Tracy did that first in 1993, and in fact, he's done it 4 times. He takes us on a lap of the track with Townsend Bell.
All right, so we're here in Long Beach with a 4-time champion, Mr. Paul Tracy. PT, we're thrilled to have you on board this year. Long Beach is a special place for you.
Well, this is a place of firsts for me. It was my first IndyCar race, my first win, and now my first time in the booth with you. So,
all right, now we've got kind of a more refined, polished PT. He's a businessman now with Black Label baggers, married, you've got kids, you're in broadcasting now, so take us around peacefully.
Okay, let me give you a nice little lap of the streets of Long Beach. Here we are, turn 1.
Angry PT, come on, get in there, get up in on that hedge. Come on, give me some.
Some curb here, catch a little bush, coming out, cars pushing. This corner's always dropping away. Everybody uses a little bit of curb. Cars falling away, you're pushing.
You got Montoya inside. Montoya's inside.
Corner very bumpy. Lots of curb, lots of curb. So this corner coming up here is very, very bumpy.
Do the willpower. Here it is, the WP. Look at that. I can see how that's an advantage. Nice diagonal brake zone. Man, you nailed that. I got to say, Polished Paul seems way faster than the Blue Demon.
I've won most of my races when I'm under control. When I get under the blue mist, I usually have run myself into some kind of problem.
Take all of this.
A lot of guys are taking a lot of curb in this corner, trying to straighten out the exit. The last straightaway on the track. Also a good opportunity to pass. As we get down here to the end of the straightaway, there's lots of rubber from Formula Drift, so you can brake right up to almost the 2 marker from 180 miles an hour.
And this is where the new asphalt starts. I remember racing here last year. There's a ton of grip right here.
You get offline, it's very, very easy to lose it.
There's 100 French Canadians flipping you off in that grandstand. All right, that's a lap of the beach with the champ. Nobody knows this place better. Thanks, Ben.
The masked man is back, but we're not allowing him to wear that on the set. IndyCar drivers Townsend Bell and Paul Tracy join us now for the first time in 2014, and we've had requests from Dario Franchitti down, Paul, for PT to be non-PC. Are you going to call it as you see it?
I'll call it like I see it. I've been fired by Roger Penske. I'm not worried about getting fired by you guys.
All right, well, we know that Long Beach is very special to you. Of course, you got your first and you got 4 wins here. But what makes Long Beach special for everybody?
Well, all you got to do is look at this place. It's packed. Every year packed. Beautiful weather. To get your name on the list of these drivers that have won here, Brian Redmond, the Andretti's, the Unsers, myself, it's an honor, and it's tremendous.
Townsend, it's been interesting having a conversation with you and watching you for this group circa 2014. You're very taken by the youngsters in this field this year.
I really am. I mean, the series is so competitive. Let's not mistake it. The last 2 years, incredibly tight. This has reached a level of absurdity, though. Thousands of seconds that they're looking for to get an advantage. It can also always mean several positions in qualifying this year, but the young guys are so prepared. They're stone cold killers. We met Jack Hawksworth earlier. You've got Carlos Munoz starting 11th. These guys spend 60 hours a week training on a simulator. They don't have wives, kids, big sponsor commitments, and they're causing big issues for the veterans.
Paul, you lined up against some of the biggest names in the sport. As a rookie, were you intimidated?
I was intimidated. I didn't want to upset guys like Mario Andretti, but I'm going to tell you what, you can spend as much time as you like in the simulator. You're not going to muscle around guys like Montoya and Dixon on the racetrack when it's real racing.
Words from Paul Tracy, and he's going to stay with us for the whole race. Time now, though, to go trackside for the opening ceremonies for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach.
And remove your hats as the California Army National Guard Honor Guard, Joint Forces Training Base, Los Alamitos, California, presents our nation's colors.
Intro in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please remain standing as Verizon and IndyCar chaplain, Father Glenn O'Connor, offers today's invocation.
On this beautiful Palm Sunday, we just take a moment, good and gracious God, to thank you for the 40th running of the Toyota Grand Prix. We thank you for so many volunteers, so many people that bring this great event together. Your special blessing today, the drivers, the crews, the safety personnel, so many people that come together to make this such a wonderful event. We bless the men and women in the service of our country. All this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Okay. Please remain standing. Here to perform our national anthem for the audio guys. It will be a lady who has performed at the Hollywood Bowl, the Nokia Theater, and Mariachi USA. Please give a welcome to Jackie Ibarra.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
There's one thing this event does and does very, very well. It is attract enormous names, not only in the sport like Indy 500 winners Mario Andretti and Arie Luyendyk, But here today at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, legendary rocker Roger Daltrey of The Who, and on the far left, look at the size of him, that is Olympic bobsled legend and medalist Stephen Holcomb. To remind you of what he did just 2 months ago in Sochi, Russia, take a look at this. It's as simple as this. If Stephen Holcomb can pilot his crew to a time that is faster than what we've just seen, there's another medal to Team USA. Holcomb said, we can do this. Second best start time for this team. A clip, but it didn't appear to hurt. If the time stays green, USA has a medal.
85.7, big speed at the bottom.
Can he do it? Yes! Holcomb does it again! Denies Russia a medal. He's used to being in the driving seat, but Stephen Holcomb will get to go for the ride of his life shortly. We'll tell you more about that. Thanks for watching IndyCar Live on NBCSN, presented by Verizon. Closing out the 2013 IndyCar season with a set of back-to-back wins, Will Power carried that momentum into 2014 on the streets of St. Petersburg.
Can he do it? I don't think Will was going to take no for an answer on that one.
But not without a little controversy.
Oh, we have a crash on the restart.
That falls on Will Power. That is a ridiculous speed.
Mr. Power, how they say, oh, wanker? Is that what he say?
With a win in St. Pete, Power returns to Long Beach, where his likeness shines twice, looking to make it 4 wins in a row by winning the 40th Grand Prix of Long Beach. There are events, and then there are marquee events. It's our pleasure to say welcome to the 40th Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach in Southern California. It's round 2 of the 18 race Verizon IndyCar Series for 2014. We've got the perfect day, we've got the perfect setup, not the big teams in the big positions. There could be a surprise today here on the streets of Long Beach. We'll just have to wait and see in this 80-lap race over 157 miles. We've done all the lead up. It's time to go to work, and for that, it's time for the command.
Junior, hit it.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And of course, we just missed the beginning of that. That's 6-time winner Al Unser Jr. Everybody firing up, including the pole sitter Ryan Hunter-Reay, Tony Kanaan in his new ride at Target Chip Ganassi Racing for 2014. Simon Pagenaud was a top 3 in the championship last year. And Will Power, one of his worst ever qualifying positions on a road or street course. And before they fire and roll, let's check in one last time on pit road. We start with Marty Snyder. Marty?
Well, Lee, walking up and down the grid, taking the pulse of everyone here. They're all talking about one thing, the standing start that is coming up in just moments. And there's an interesting mix here at the front of the field with both experience and youth here as well. One of the things everyone's worried about is the right-hand side. James Hinchcliffe will start there in second. And if you start in an even number spot, that side might be dirtier and might get a slower start than the left-hand side. Kevin?
Marty, watch Marco Andretti. The family has won here 6 times. He desperately wants to join them at Long Beach, and he's fast. He's never been more optimistic in my mind from after I talked with him the morning warm-up today, but he's dealing with a very sore right wrist. It greatly impacts him going through the hairpin, but he says he'll be fine. It's just going to hurt. Kelly?
Well, Kevin, keep your eye on Will Power and the 12 car. Even though the Aussie qualified 14th, he ran in the top 6 in every single practice session today, including this morning when he took the opportunity to practice some of those crucial standing starts. Remember, he qualified 12th back in 2012 and won that race. He'll be looking to do the same again today. Robin?
Last year, Graham Rahal started 11th and finished 2nd. It was the highlight of an otherwise disappointing season. Well, disappointment is all this has been this year. He started next to last 2 weeks ago at St. Pete. He's the slowest qualifier this weekend. He got a new sponsor with National Guard. He's got a new engineer. It should be a new season, a new start for this kid who was really fast a few years ago. But I'll tell you what, right now he needs a good result.
Yeah, there's a big workload ahead for Graham Rahal. He's a Honda driver. Speaking of that, Honda is bringing back the fastest seat in sports sweepstakes, and you can enter by logging on to shophonda.com. Now, this week, we alluded to it a little earlier. This week, we've got two very special guests. Riding along with motorsports legend Mario Andretti is rock legend Roger Daltrey, and with two-time Indy 500 winner Arie Luyendyk is Olympic legend Stephen Holcomb. Now, both of whom have been awarded the lucky position of starting today's race. And there is Roger on the right, Stephen Holcomb on the left. As we said earlier, Steve's used to being in the driving seat at the front of either a 2- or 4-man bobsled in Winter Olympic competition. This time, he's slotting into an IndyCar. Somebody asked me the other day, how's he going to fit into a 2-seater IndyCar? I said, have you ever seen how narrow those bobsleds are? Steve Holcomb, hi, it's Lee Diffie in the NBCSN booth. Have you got us? So we'll leave them to enjoy their ride with both Mario and Arie. And be sure to log on to shophonda.com, and you could have the opportunity that Roger Daltrey and Stephen Holcomb have today by starting a Verizon IndyCar Series race. Sweepstakes begin May 1st and end August 6th, and there's no purchase necessary with that. And Townsend, with that, let's take a closer look at this legendary street course.
Well, Lee, let's take a lap around this IndyCar's most significant race outside of the Indy 500, and it all starts in braking for turn 1. It's the ultimate game of chicken. Who can brake the latest? You have to walk the tightrope here in the red zone. You see balancing the car right at the very limit of adhesion. Go too deep though, you can end up in those tires. Then you've got the same thing down at turn 9, except here you also have massive bumps to deal with on entry. Really difficult. You'll see here they brake slightly off the bumps, then get far over to the left, and then you hit that really smooth asphalt. There's a ton of grip there. That takes you down through 10 and 11 and over to the hairpin, which is the slowest, tightest. It's the weirdest corner in racing. The hairpin is so unique. You can do it with either one hand. We're going to see here with Charlie Kimball kind of going rodeo style. Reaches down with that left hand and just yanks the thing over. Right hand's off the wheel at that point. Some of the drivers, like myself, prefer a more conventional approach, going 9 and 3 here on board with Graham Rahal. The big crossover, you see his hands crossed up. I like to keep 2 hands on that wheel at all time because these things are beasts. Guys, the beach is unlike any other.
There it is, and it is a tough task, and fancy doing it with 23 drivers and 80 laps around here. It's time now to take a look at how they'll line up with the Mother's Polished starting grid, and it's an all Andretti Autosport front row. It's the highest starting position at this venue for James Hinchcliffe. No Penske or no Ganassi in the top 6. And Paul Tracy, you've driven for the big teams. You've won here 4 times. What happens when you're in these tough starting spots like Will Power and Helio Castroneves and you're up against it?
Well, immediately they're going to use their experience. All these street races always turn into some type of a save fuel type of a mode. You're going to try to save as much fuel as you can, hit off sequence, do a different strategy. Guys like Will Power and Dixon, they're experts at this. They have a ton of experience, so that's what they're going to use.
So we'll see. Watch for those guys coming through the field. Will Power alluded to it earlier. Hopefully Tim Cindric, the president of Penske Racing, will call some good strategy and get him through. We're going to give you plenty of onboard views today from Southern California. This is Graham Rahal's view with thanks to National Guard. Charlie Kimball at the Ganassi team is also carrying an onboard camera with thanks to Novolog FlexPen. And Will Power, who starts 14th, will give us this view with thanks to Verizon. Remember, as Kelly told us earlier, Power has won here from 12th position. Charter Communications gives us this view aboard Simon Pagenaud's entry, the 77 machine. And we'll keep an eye on the Frenchman because he's been quick this weekend. And thanks to United Fiber and Data, James Hinchcliffe starting on the front row. The Mayor of Hinchtown will show us this. Will he beat his teammate to the front row? And of course, the pole sitter for the 6th time in his career, Ryan Hunter-Reay. And I want to remind you to download the IndyCar 14 app. Visit verizon.com/IndyCar. The App Store or Google Play. That's Verizon and IndyCar. And of course, driving technology.
We just heard that Arie Luyendyk spun the 2-seater there. We heard what sounded like a bad double clutch downshift, so maybe he's having some issues out there, or maybe he's just getting after it.
Maybe he's getting after it and misses being out there. So it's you know, it's exciting times for everybody. Anytime you get an opportunity to drive the streets of Long Beach, you definitely want to push the car to the limit.
Maybe Steve Holcomb said, hey, listen, I just come off winning 2 Olympic medals. Give me a real good ride.
No doubt.
We'll see. Marty?
Well, Lee, we've talked about Will Power and the strategy that Tim Cindric will deploy. I actually was with Will Power and Tim Cindric as they were making the decision on what tires they would start today on. They're going to start on the Firestone primary tires. That's contrary to everybody else pretty much in front of them. Now, Cindric told me it's a risk. I know that. We're going to give up some on the start, and if there's early cautions, we'll give up some. But think about what it'll be in the second half of the race for Will Power. They'll be able to go to the red, softer, quicker tires, back-to-back stints. That's when Will Power expects to make his move, Lee.
And to be in accordance with IndyCar Series rules, there are 2 types of tires, 2 compounds. You'll see the black wall Firestone tires and the red wall. You must run each compound at least once for 2 green flag laps during the race. Paul, how important is that tire strategy?
Well, it's important, but I see, you know, what's going on right now is a lot of guys spinning tires, revving up the motor, and Townsend can tell you this. Normally, we would coast around and try to save as much fuel as we could, but I see these guys all warming up their tires really aggressively.
You know, one thing, Paul, that we talked about for the start of this race, we're looking at start line right here, that start finish. Now, this big painted Long Beach Grand Prix graphic is causing the front row drivers a lot of concern. Trying to get the wheel spin minimized over this stretch right here is a big concern for Hunter-Reay, also for Hinchcliffe. I think these guys here in row 2 are going to have the best chance to lay down the rubber. We could see row 2 and 3 get a big jump.
We will see the lights once the 23rd car is in and boxed and ready to go. The first standing start for 2014 at the 40th running of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. And when the lights go out, the race is on at the beach. Standing start at Hinchcliffe bogs a little bit, but the rest of the field get away cleanly. That was a good catch from James Hinchcliffe, but Pagenaud got away to a flyer. So too is that Carlos Munoz. No, it's Bourdais. Bourdais on the outside. Andretti Autosport and KVSH. Through turn 1 they go. Great start, Marco Andretti as well.
Unbelievable that they get through there cleanly. I was looking back through the field for the hard chargers. This is difficult. Can't go too wide at the exit here, or can you? They make it through cleanly. Amazing.
Ryan Hunter-Reay leads the way. Scott Dixon looks for an inside there on Joseph Newgarden. Couldn't quite do it. We're hearing that one of the cars at the back had a very difficult time getting underway, Sebastian Saavedra, but he is now moving.
Tough break for Saavedra. Really struggled through qualifying, while his teammate here, Bourdais, no issues, super fast, up front now running P2, and inside that's Carlos Munoz on Justin Wilson.
That's a big move, but Wilson switches back. Does it pay off for the young Colombian? No, it doesn't. Wilson takes that spot back.
And now Ryan Hunter-Reay is starting to stretch away a little bit. He's pulled out a few car lengths on the lead of Sebastian, but lots of action here in the back.
Power looking at a move on Oriol Servier. Oriol is back in the IndyCar pack for just a couple of events this year with Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan, and qualified very well yesterday.
Now, I know we talked about the importance of strategy and experience for guys like Will Power to make up those spots, but you have to pass cars, Paul, whether on pit lane or on the racetrack, and here we see a pass side by side.
Here, and just side by side.
Newgarden.
Nice clean pass, a little squeeze on the charter car, but pretty clean pass.
So he gets through. There's Marco Andretti being hounded by his teammate James Hinchcliffe. It was a dynamic start from Marco, even with that injured right wrist. He's gritting his teeth and getting on with it. And if you look at the top of the screen, that graphic is correct, because you remember Townsend said we did an extra lap because of Arie Luyendyk spinning the 2-seater. That lap counted.
Interesting. Well, that'll really play into fuel efficiency and mileage and strategy as this race plays out. Right now, you got Hinchtown all over the back on Marco. They're both on red tires looking through the field. I see Wilson, Justin Wilson on blacks, Munoz and Sergio on blacks.
Teammates side by side, teammates all together here. The 3 Penske cars.
I think Helio hit the wall.
Montoya on the inside of Castro Neves. You ride with Power. Power wants a slice at it as well.
I wonder what the captain is thinking of this action.
And Castro Neves hangs tough. Wow, decisive move from Montoya, and Power almost pushed it a little too far.
Unbelievable. You know, they've got to know their teammates there, but it's a tightrope walk, and somebody ducks in. That's Graham Rahal, the first guy to come onto pit lane. He's going to go off strategy early.
And that is really the only chance that Graham Rahal has today of making something happen. He's had a tough time all weekend, so instantly they go off strategy, and that could play out for him later in the race.
Hinchcliffe got by Andretti in a pretty nice move.
And you know he had to get by in a hurry because a big pack of cars packed up behind him. He knew he had to go now. Here's Graham Rahal with his stop.
Let's take you back and show you what happened with the Penske trio as Jack Hawksworth chases down Joseph Newgarden. On the inside is Power, on the outside is Castro Neves. Whoa, they go wheel to wheel, and Montoya's got a front row view of this.
I wonder if Castro Neves picked up a little bit of, dirt, rubber on his tires and lost it through the next two corners because he was kind of a limp duck there.
Well, they've all sort of spread out now, so I'm sure the radio has come across and say, hey guys, let's chill out. Get to the first stop. But the surprising thing is Montoya has now gotten ahead of his two teammates, and he's been behind them most of all practice sessions. So he's gotten his legs underneath of him and gotten ahead of Will Power.
Montoya had the rain to contend with at St. Petersburg. This is his first chance since his IndyCar comeback to have a nice, clean, dry weather weekend to deal with, and it's really paying off.
Montoya finished 15th on the streets of St. Petersburg 2 weeks ago. That man there in car 12, Will Power, was victorious to get the season away to the best possible start. Let's hit the rewind button and show you the first standing start of 2014. And look to the left of your screen, the blue car, blue and white of James Hinchcliffe, just balked a little bit, but was unable to pick up the clutch and get going again.
It's almost as if he missed the light somehow because his car didn't move at all. It didn't show any signs of a clutch drop, and Bourdais just absolutely nailed it.
It was a very good start from Simon Pagenaud as well. Look at Marco in the yellow and blue car go right around the outside of Jack Hawksworth.
Very tight on the exit for Marco here. He got squeezed right against the wall by Jack. I don't even think Jack knew he was there because he just came out of nowhere right here. And look at how tight this is right here.
And there was contact between Hinch's right front and Marco's left rear.
This is on board Simon Pagenaud. He goes right up to the inside. There's Newgarden. There goes Hinchcliffe, so he's clicked off 2 already. This is Jack Hawksworth on his list. So as quick as you like, he's gone past 3 cars.
What a phenomenal run. Now here he
start. Perfect revs, perfect clutch application. You can see the cars in front were spinning the tires, smoke rolling off the tires. He timed it perfectly.
So, at the front, 1.2 seconds is the advantage. Ryan Hunter-Reay has over Sebastian Bourdais. Pagenaud is 3rd, Hinchcliffe is 4th, Newgarden is 5th, and then this is Aloshin. Mikhail Aloshin, the Russian driver for the Schmidt team, who has been very impressive so far.
He really has. You know, I talked about the pre-show, the stone-cold killer mentality, and this guy has it in spades. Never been to the United States prior to signing his contract to race with Sam Schmidt this year. Not only has he never been to Long Beach, never been to California. It'll be like that all season long, but he's acquitting himself very well.
So the 2012 champion and former winner here on the streets of Long Beach, Ryan Hunter-Reay, has it under control early on in round 2. Back on the streets of Long Beach for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, and Simon Pagenaud and James Hinchcliffe go wheel to wheel in turn 1. Do they come out cleanly? That is a classic spot on this circuit for drama to happen.
That was not going to work if they tried to go into the fountain 2 abreast, but I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with Ryan Hunter-Reay right now. He's just stretching away from the field. I talked to Jimmy Vasser this morning, and he was very impressed with Bourdais. He was fast. His fuel mileage was the best he's seen in a long time on his team with the drivers he's had. So this is definitely going to turn it into a situation of how long these guys can go before they have to pit.
Listening to the voice of Paul Tracy, 4-time winner here on the streets of Long Beach. Paul joins me, Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Kelly Stavis, Marty Snyder, Kevin Lee, and Robin Miller for the 2nd round of the IndyCar season. And Simon Pagenaud is heading in the wrong direction at the moment.
He is, and one of the things I'm watching is that morning warm-up, I talked to the drivers afterwards. Most of them said, yeah, you know, red tires versus black tires doesn't seem to be much of a difference. Reds are a little quicker, they hold up well. But that was when the ambient was low 60s, the sun was blocked by clouds. It's now a glorious Long Beach day. The sun is out, it's pounding this track, and I'm really curious to see what happens over the next 15 to 20 laps as those red tires get hotter and hotter and the grip level goes away.
If you're wondering what's happening in this race up front, 3 seconds in the lead is Ryan Hunter-Reay over 3-time winner Sebastian Bourdais. Hinchcliffe is 3rd. That car there, the charter car, is 4th. And this is Tony Kanaan making his pit stop, Marty.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And you hear him being called to the stall moments ago. We had Takuma Sato also pit, last year's winner. They're going on the 3-stop strategy as well. TK has struggled with his car all weekend long, Lee. Just no rear grip in the team car. They too going to this alternate strategy early in the race.
The weekend got off to an unhappy start for the reigning Indy 500 champion, where he had a bizarre eye injury, and it took a couple of days for it to come good for Tony Kanaan. So it hasn't exactly been a happy trip to California.
Yeah, you know, the 3-stop strategy Marty mentioned here, new red tires for Kanaan. He didn't advance to the Fast 6, so he had a fresh set of reds to throw on. He started on blacks. What they're thinking here is let's pit early, let's try to get on clean track with good, fresh, grippy tires and just make lap time, do something different, see if we can make up for a poor qualifying showing.
I'm actually surprised Tony came out behind Graham because he was quite far up the road in front of him before the pit stops. I don't know if he had a problem or maybe brushed the wall or something, but Graham started from the back and now he's come out behind, Tony has come out behind Graham.
Yeah, well, it's a long pit lane, Paul. You know, you've got the IndyCar pit plus the ALMS or the IMSA pit. It's a long ways on that pit speed limiter.
There is our leader, Ryan Hunter-Reay, in the DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport. There is Sebastian Bourdais, James Hinchcliffe. Takuma Sato is out of the mix. He's already been in for a damaged car. And we go back to Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing's Joseph Newgarden. And Joseph doing a very solid job in 5th place. The car has been quick all weekend. He was fastest in morning warm-up. He's in the groove here, Townsend.
Oh, he's just done a fantastic job. You know, talking with Sarah Fisher this morning, she is so modest about taking any credit for her team's success. She always puts it on the people, the guys, but she is the captain of that ship and does just such a fantastic job with great people, good equipment, and an awesome up-and-coming driver. Kelly?
Joseph Newgarden admitting that there was a lot of pressure that comes along with the Long Beach Grand Prix. He said it is the crown jewel of these street races, and with so many people on hand, he's feeling it today. He told me, of course, every race they would love to win, but realistically, for him to finish in the top 10 would be a good day for them. Kevin?
Jack Hawksworth is having a very good day so far. Started 5th, only lost 1 spot at the beginning of the race. He's settling in 6th. Brian Herta is coaching him through this race, constantly talking to him. One thing of substance, he's telling him, go ahead and save a little fuel right now. So he's running pretty good lap times and saving.
Jack Hawksworth, if you were with us earlier in the show, he's got that broad northern English accent. He's from Bradford in West Yorkshire in the UK, and he has just gone one step at a time. He was the Star Mazda champion a couple of years ago with 8 wins. He won 3 times last year in the Indy Light Series, and here he is now in 2014 as an IndyCar driver at just 23, and he is not intimidated by the names around him. This is Marco Andretti, who seems to have dropped back, and Marco's in 7th at the moment with Scott Dixon, the reigning series champion, behind him. Let's keep an eye on that Andretti Autosport machine. There's reports of some minor damage. Take a look.
And if we saw the fantastic start from Marco, but in that we saw him get squeezed into the wall. You guys talked about that. They think there may be a broken front wing from that contact, but Marco's hanging on the best he can. As you mentioned, got up to 5th, has now fallen back to 7th. You guys talked about his wrist from the accident at St. Pete. It hurts when he's in full lock turning to the right. You guys talked about how you have to come down and put pressure on that right wrist. That's when it hurts Marco, but he told me it only hurts once a lap. I can suffer through that if we have a good enough car to win the race.
Townsend, you see anything? You see any damage?
His upper front left end plate here is just kind of flapping. I'm not sure if that would have come from contact, though, because it's awfully high unless it clipped kind of the hinge point there, Paul.
Yeah, and it will definitely upset the balance of the car here. It's so important to have good front downforce under braking, and he has really backed up a long way. He was battling with Hinch right off the start, and now he's backed up 4 or 5 positions.
Scott Dixon tucked in behind, and it's kind of funny when you talk about a 3-time series champion who has won just about everywhere. This track does not seem to gel for Scott Dixon.
This is one of the better runs he's had in a while, but you know, it's a long race. This guy's all about keeping his head down, as we know, minimizing mistakes, and you can never count him out. And this is a guy you certainly can't count out, but right now, the way I'm seeing Will Power run, man, I got to wonder if this day's ever going to come together for him. He's running in the mid-minute 10s. The leaders right now are in a league of their own. Top 4 guys in the mid-109 lap times.
Quick game you can play at home. I'll give you a question, I'll give you the answer. Who do you think the biggest mover is in the field? Make your predictions. It's Juan Pablo Montoya, the 1999 winner. There he is in the back of that shot in the Verizon car. Montoya has moved up 5 positions from his starting spot.
Well, he's going to have to get around Justin Wilson's no easy task, and a young Colombian fellow countryman, Carlos Munoz, having an awesome run up there in 9th place right now.
Paul, take yourself back to when you were a hungry young tiger surrounded by legendary names. I asked Carlos Munoz, when you made that move on your fellow Colombian and your idol when you were a young man, Juan Pablo Montoya at St. Petersburg 2 weeks ago, what did you think? He said, nothing. I need to pass everybody like that.
That might be just a game of wits, but I'm sure if he is looking in his mirrors and seeing his idol, Juan Pablo Montoya, I'm sure he's nervous about it. But Juan is a racer's racer. The guy just lives to race. He charges all the time. He wears everything on his sleeve, and he's moving forward. He's pulled away from his 2 teammates.
And there he is, JPM, the man who has won the Monaco Grand Prix. He's won here at Long Beach. He's won the Indy 500, but the fire still burns. And look, that just shows you how tight it is around the fountain. As we welcome you back to Long Beach, a reminder the push for the playoffs is on NBCSN. Tonight, the push for the playoffs concludes. The Dallas Stars face off against the Phoenix Coyotes. Stars, Coyotes tonight, 8:30 Eastern, right here on NBCSN. Let's get down to the pits. Here's Kevin Lee.
Briscoe gets off the primary Firestone blacks. He goes to the sticker red, the softer compound. So he's one of the first to go a little bit off strategy. Everyone's been hoping for a yellow to go to a 3-stop strategy. Briscoe, the first of the group to come in this situation.
Ryan Briscoe has stood on the podium here. He's very pleased to have a full-time IndyCar drive on board the NTT Data TNT car at Chip Ganassi Racing. And we take you to our race leader. Welcome if you've just joined us to the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. We ride with the 2012 Series champ and the 2010 leader who comes in right behind the man who has just pitted, Ryan Briscoe. Does he let Hunter-Reay by? No, he doesn't.
This is a big problem for Ryan Hunter-Reay. You do not want to lose a lap. Ryan has waited longer than most to come and get a stop. It looks like he's going to let him go now, but you definitely don't want to get a lap down, especially here.
Briscoe did the right thing. He was doing everything he could to try to get out on cold tires and stay ahead, but he clearly didn't have it. Didn't want to just absolutely ruin Hunter-Reay's lead.
And just those couple of corners being behind Ryan on sticker tires, you can see how much the gap is closed. It closed from 3 seconds down to 0.8 in just those couple of corners.
Now Briscoe would have some tire pressure now, but let's see what goes on with your old pen pal Bourdais if he lets him by.
Well, you know, you definitely don't want to get stuck back in the middle of the pack. You know, all these guys are going to pit probably within the next 5 or 6 laps, so you want to hang tough, but obviously not hold anybody up and upset anybody.
We told you about the 2 Colombians duking it out, and here they are, center screen. Carlos Munoz, one of 4 rookies, fending off Juan Pablo Montoya. This is a little further down the order. Munoz currently holds the 10th position, Montoya in 11th, but it's tight. Oriol Servia tucked in behind there. Elio Castro Neves, then Will Power in the same position he started.
Save your overtakes. We're still got about another 6 or so laps to go. 6 or so laps.
And that's the voice of Paul Ziggy Harkis, who is coaching Carlos Munoz.
And he's saying save your overtakes because Munoz has blown through half of them. You get 10 for the race. Munoz has burned up 5, and we're only 19 laps in.
And look at how impressive Oriol Servia is. He's ahead of 2 Penske cars and right on the tail of Montoya.
Well, we mentioned earlier in the show how this event attracts superstars. Kelly Stavist is standing by with one right now.
Roger Daltrey has now made his way back to the pits box of James Hinchcliffe. You're here for a very important reason, but I got to ask you first, how did you enjoy that ride along with the great Mario Andretti?
I loved every minute of it. Just to think that Mario Andretti is my chauffeur for the day. How bad, you know.
Not many people can say that. Well, you're a co-founder of Teen Cancer America along with Pete Townsend. Tell me about the organization and what drew you to this cause.
It's something that we've started to give teenagers teen-friendly space within the hospital system. Teenagers and young adults who have cancer, because at the moment there is nothing for them. They're either with children or adults. And teenagers are very different than children or adults and should be respected for that. If you go to prison, you're not with children if you're a teenager, and you're not with adults, you're with teens. That's in prison. I want to know why they haven't got a little bit of space in the hospital, especially when they've got cancer.
Well, and I understand there's a big tour coming up that has nothing to do with the WHO. Can you tell me about the 50-state tour?
This is worse than being in the Who. This is like mad.
All right, it's loud down there. I said it reminds him of Woodstock, but Roger, enjoy the rest of the race.
Thank you.
Well, they talk about how hard the rock and roll lifestyle is on you. He looks pretty darn good for 70.
He's got a lot of energy, huh?
He has, and campaigning a very worthy cause.
No doubt. Well, back to the race here. Look at the battle on the back straight. You see Munoz moving to the inside. That is not blocking. That is anticipation.
Outside move by Montoya and a little move over and...
Wow. We spoke about this earlier. Munoz is not intimidated by his racing hero, and Montoya tried to intimidate him then, and it didn't work.
We said in the pre-race that the young guns are cold stone killers, and we're seeing it now. He proactively moved over, took away the inside line, and they were side by side, and Munoz said, "Nuh-uh, gonna have to try harder than that, pal."
Now, in the past, that would be called a block. Now, in the driver's meeting, Bo Barfield said, I'm going to let you guys go at it a little bit more. I'm going to let you protect, but he doesn't want to see nose-to-tail contact, but he doesn't mind a little banging wheel-to-wheel.
You know, for a guy that founded the Chrome Horn, I'm surprised you're going to call that block. And Kevin, what's going on down there?
Helio Castroneves in and out. I asked him before, will you come in early off strategy? And he said, that's a great question. They'd obviously been wrestling with that. They kind of went in between. They're only about 5 or 6 laps beyond the normal fuel cycle, so maybe if they get a lot of yellow, maybe could still do it on one more stop, but that's going to be asking for a lot.
So the order as they run now, it's Hunter-Reay who's extended his advantage over Sebastian Bourdais. James Hinchcliffe is still third, and then we've got Pagenaud fourth and Newgarden in the top 5. Watch this. This is on the right of your screen. It's Juan Pablo Montoya and Carlos Munoz on the left. Finally gets it done.
That's the old shake and bake.
Yeah,
faded to the outside a little bit, showed the right side mirrors for Munoz, and then ducked to the inside.
Jack Hawksworth, Marco Andretti, Scott Dixon, Justin Wilson. That is 7, 8, 9 right there. Juan Pablo Montoya in 10, and this is the series points leader, Will Power in.
All alone here, past the 3.
And you hear Tim Cindric talking to him. The race really not falling the way they wanted. They didn't make the progress on the primary tires in this first run. You see the sticker reds going on. They want a clean track on this run so they can make as much progress as they possibly could. We'll see if he can get that done on this run, Lee.
And he was being philosophical about what happened in qualifying, and what happened was he doesn't know. The time just didn't come when he needed it to come, and he said, okay, I know I'm up for a tough day tomorrow, today that being, and we'll see what happens.
You know, I talked to Will Power before the race, and he said, listen, we're going to run the blacks. I know I'm not going to be that competitive on the start, but hopefully I get clean track, new reds, which is what he's got now. And here's Servi to the inside of Munoz.
That's tight.
I'll tell you, nobody can race in close quarters with better spatial awareness than Oriol Servia. He's such a clean driver in these circumstances.
Look at Conway, too. He's been quiet all weekend, but we know that he can win here. He peels off and comes into the pit, but he's a past winner here and is very, very strong.
Nice job on the mark.
Let's stand by at Andretti Autosport for Carlos Munoz. Here's his first stop of the day.
We also see Mike Conway coming in. There's Ryan Briscoe's car. They have an electrical problem. You can see that TNT car. Munoz in. He's had a solid run, starting in the 11th position. He's running in the 11th position. That's a nice stop. They go from the red Firestones back to the primary tires. So Munoz trying to make some time on the harder compound in this segment.
And no positions gained or lost there. Munoz stays ahead of former Long Beach winner Mike Conway, who is in the Ed Carpenter car. Teammates here, and Will Power ahead of Helio Castroneves.
Both on reds, so it's interesting that Helio switched over to Will Power's setup for qualifying and found it to be much better for him than the direction he was going all weekend.
Look at this angry little bunch. It's Scott Dixon, Marco Andretti, Jack Hawksworth, Justin Wilson, and Juan Pablo Montoya. Andretti says, I'm out of here. I've had enough of this. I'm going to pit for the first time today. And Hawksworth comes under pressure from fellow Brit Justin Wilson. Watch that Boy Scout of America car on the outside and executes the pass beautifully.
Now, really interesting to see what he did there. When he popped out for the pass, he really took away the line for Hawksworth to move back over. That's a veteran move on one of our young guns.
Let's check in with Andretti.
Phenomenal action on the track, Lee, but on pit road, Marco Andretti already leaving with the primary sticker tires on. They did not change the wing despite that very slight break. He said the car terrific. He wanted to pit, though. He said I was hanging on at the end of that run.
And another position gain for one. Pablo Montoya in the Verizon Chevy for Penske Racing. He gets by Jack Hawksworth.
The Hawksworth must have a problem. His tires must be completely gone. Have used them up because he's falling down through the field now. Montoya made it easy work of him in the infield.
And Justin Wilson's on those black tires, so he's one of the few that started early on blacks, and they're really coming into their own now as the reds fade off. Here's Hunter-Reay trying to work his way past Serbia.
Oh, and this is going to help Sebastian Bourdais. There's a bit of traffic between he and that DHL Honda. We ride aboard with Hunter-Reay. Have a listen.
This is exactly what you don't want.
Further back, the Penske teammates are going at it. Marco Andretti locks up down into turn 8, and he just gathered it up.
That was really, really close. Castroneves forcing. Look at Marco. He's got the miss. He's trying to blow back by.
And that's on fresh tires too. Typically you don't want to do that on fresh tires. All right, late in the run, but not when you first come out. Trying to fight the good fight. Meanwhile, Will Power has skipped away from Castroneves. That cost Elio time. Jack Hawksworth has stopped, we can report, for Brian Herder Autosport. So the young British...
10 on Andretti, good work.
And here he comes in the number 98. Returns to the track. Does he stay in front of Marco Andretti, the man who passed him around the outside on lap 1? Here's second place Sebastian Bourdais. Kev?
Bourdais started turning up the wick a little bit, trying to make up some ground. He got to second position on that first stop. This is a little bit slower on this stop.
The longer that Hunter-Reay has to fight these lap cars, this could be an advantage for Bourdais. He's peeled off. He caught Ryan Hunter-Reay before he pitted, and now he's going to hopefully come out onto a clean track. And that, if Hunter-Reay's behind these other lap cars, this could be a problem.
I love the gamesmanship here of Hinchcliffe on pit lane, trying to get an advantage on Bourdais for when they hit that pit speed button. Really tough here. It's so easy to lock up coming out of the pits on cold tires, especially the blacks.
People coming by now, push, push.
He's got a clear track. You see all this traffic, all the traffic that Hunter-Reay's had to go through will cost him time.
Mike Conway working on Carlos Munoz. You saw both of them come in to the pits at the same time and exit at the same time. So the fight goes on. Race leader is in after 25 laps.
This is critical right here, how much time that he lost messing around with the lap cars.
You got a wide open pit lane.
I think it's going to be really tight because Bourdais was pretty slow on that stop. That wasn't that clean and snappy. Let's see how fast the DHL guys can get it done.
It's going to be interesting to see how much that traffic did cost him, guys. It's amazing. You spend all those laps building as big of a lead as you can, and then it can all go away in a couple of seconds. And long time on the left rear for Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Are you okay?
As well, Ryan Hunter-Reay leaves the
I
pits.
just couldn't.
Interesting sequence.
Turn to the rear on the brake balance, but it was not enough. Locked up the front and went straight to the tires.
So what Bourdais saying there is he tried to go to the rear on the brake balance, and he did that in anticipation of cold front tires to not lock up. And he said, I just didn't go far enough. So I think what we might see here if we get a replay is locked up front tires and going head on to the tires. Let's check it out.
And this brings out our first yellow of the day, being hunted down by James Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, no real big lockup there. It's just like he carried too much speed in and just missed the line.
Well, he was nursing the brake pedal because if he stands on it, he's going to go straight on, and he knows he can't make the corner with the front grip he's got available. So hard to do that. He's pushing hard.
Well, this was the lap that he was going to have to make in the out lap. The traffic with Hunter-Reay, he was pushing to the limit, and tiniest mistake puts you out of the race. I mean, this has virtually ended his opportunity to get a good finish here.
So PT Townsend, we saw Hinchcliffe hounding Bourdais coming out of the pits. He was right behind him. He was hustling. He was racing. Did the Frenchman get distracted?
Oh, you bet. I mean, he sees not only Hinchcliffe behind him, but like you said, Paul, he knows this is his opportunity to make ground on Hunter-Reay. Now, looking at the damage here, the front wing's totally mowed up, but the rest of the car, the mechanical suspension on these Delaras, so tough, he might be okay to continue, but certainly going to be tough to get a good result.
For sure, and I'm sure Jimmy was on the radio saying, push, 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 and that was one of Sebastian's specialties. He was so quick in his career. When I raced against him in Champ Car, he was so fast on cold tires, and I'm sure he was trying to make everything he could make.
Have a look at that graphic. The top three you see there, Dixon, Wilson, Montoya, yet to pit. The pits are closed. They are not open for servicing just yet. That's one of the new rules in 2014 in IndyCar Series racing, unless your car has sustained damage, and that's the case with the KVSH team of Sebastian Bourdais. Kevin?
Well, they assessed the damage, and it's significant damage to the nose cone, so they have changed that. It's under yellow. They'll exit. And Sebastian Bourdais' opportunity at a win goes away just a little bit too quick into that corner.
And remember, he can't take fuel. He just has to do the repair while we're under yellow with the pits closed. So sort of another double whammy there for Bourdais.
Yeah, I spoke to Jimmy this morning, and he just said that, you know, Sebastian's confidence is just not completely there yet from when he was here winning races all the time. He said it's a building block. He says he needs a good result, and then that good result will breed another good result. But he said just the confidence that he had after winning 4 championships, he's just not there yet.
Guess who this helps massively? Graham Rahal in the National Guard entry. Remember, he was the first to pit earlier today. Came in, he cycled up. He'd made up 11 positions due to that first round of stops. Montoya dives to the pits, and Rahal has elevated himself up the order. Meanwhile, those top 2 are yet to pit. Dixon and Wilson. We'll see how that plays out for them.
Back at Long Beach, a handful of cars pitting, including Scott Dixon, who was our leader. Mike Hull made the call, leave him out as long as he could, make as much lap time as he could. They put on 4 primary tires, sticker tires. Kevin?
Well, unfortunately, Ryan Briscoe is out of the car. His day is done early. What was the issue, Ryan?
We're not sure. The engine is was losing power in the bottom end. We made a stop and we changed the electrical boxes on the car, and that didn't fix it. So basically, as a team decision, we stopped the car just so we wouldn't do more damage to the motor. It's really disappointing. I got a really good start. Felt like we were going to have a really good shot at moving up into the top 10 today, and it's just too bad. But we'll certainly investigate and try to figure out what it is and move on to the next race.
Thank you, Ryan. Not the result that the Ganassi guys wanted today with the TNT colors. We're under our first caution of the day, the 40th Roar by the Shore. From the streets of Long Beach, Simon Pagenaud in front.
As we welcome you back to the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, you can be part of Honda's fastest seed in sports sweepstakes.
Going green.
By simply going to shophonda.com and sign up. Enter for your chance to lead the start of a Verizon IndyCar Series race. Sweepstakes begin May 1st and ends August 6th. No purchase necessary. Before we go back to green, I want to show you something really quickly that happened while we're in the break during the last round of pit stops between Tony Kanaan and Graham Rahal. Watch this. Boom. Contact there between the two. It's a very narrow pit lane here. We'll talk more about that in a moment. It's back to green at Long Beach, and Ryan Hunter-Reay leads the field to green. He's being chased out by Simon Pagenaud.
But there's a car backwards in the hairpin. Sorry, there's a car backwards in the hairpin. Let's see what happens down here in turn 1. There he is. Justin Wilson got turned around.
And more than likely, we're going to go back under yellow unless Justin...
There's nobody coming. There's nobody coming.
Has that fired up and can flick spin and get himself going again. Back to action after the opening full course yellow of this race. Ryan Hunter-Reay has led every single lap. Looking good in the DHL Honda. One of the big talking points of Andretti Autosport. Switching from Chevrolet to Honda in the off-season. This is what happened to Justin Wilson as we're on board with Graham Rahal.
You see Graham giving him a little bit of a nose there.
He gave him some more
and
nose
gave him
right
more
there.
nose right there. That... you know, I know Bo Barfield asked for a little more contact, and here's contact of a different sort. Simon Pagenaud in the tires at turn 6.
And that's a problem. That banner wrapped up in your front tires is not good. It will block off all the braking, all the inlet for the brakes. That flapping around will beat the front wing. The wing is braking now.
Sounds like a guy with a lot of experience.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that a few times. I've had the team say, "Come in, we need to change the wing," and I'd say, "No, I'm staying out."
Here's the reason he's backwards.
Chrome horn. Just sent him.
Now that one's a little more interesting. I was just saying that Bo Barfield has made it a point this year to say, "Hey guys, side-by-side racing, a little bit of rubbing, that's okay." But man, I don't know if Pagenaud had any idea that Power's nose was in there.
This is what it looked like from the Verizon Chevy.
Looks like something I would have done back in the day in that team.
Not quite close enough. Simon Pagenaud has limped his way back around to the pits. Kevin Lee is standing by, and he was in second place. Frustration for Pagenaud.
Oh, it has to be. Will Power is one of his best friends, but also one of his fiercest rivals, former teammates. Pagenaud says, that's the guy I'm always trying to beat. This is more than just the routine nose change because they've got to get that banner out of there as well. So our second front runner, first Sebastian Bourdais, now Simon Pagenaud. with an issue that sees them lose an opportunity to win.
Look at this, Mike Conway on Jack Hawksworth. And on the inside is Scott Dixon trying to get around Sebastian Bourdais as well. Apologies to Scott Dixon. I said that RHR had led every lap, of course. Scott led those two under caution as well. So he is now being chased down by Graham Rahal. Will there be any penalty coming down on Graham Rahal, or Will Power will stand by?
There are battles everywhere on this restart. Graham Rahal's got a good run on Dixon, and just back behind them, it looks like that's teammate Tony Kanaan, I believe, also battling things out. Look at Conway inside Munoz.
We could have some action in the pit lane with penalties because we have the Kanaan situation, the Rahal situation, and now this deal with Power. So it'll be interesting to see what the call is from Bo Barfield on all three of these.
And just got word, PT, that the Will Power and Graham Rahal incidents are officially under review from race control. Speaking of Rahal, here he is on the inside of Sebastian Bourdais. Easily done.
Now Bourdais a lap down, but he's going to be doing everything he can to try to hang in there. He's got Kanaan all over the back of him. I agree with you, Paul. What do you do as a race official now? I mean, Graham, he was just nose to tail. That was pretty blatant, just plowing into the back. Powers, maybe a little bit more subjective, but both of those in previous years would have been easy penalties.
Well, for sure, coming on to a restart, he basically lifted the back wheels off the ground of Wilson's car. You know, everybody was nose to tail, and he got his nose under there, lifted the back wheels up. The Power situation, obviously he was going for it, but I don't think he was far enough up on Pagenaud to call that a fair pass.
I'd have to agree with that. He was, you know, 2 car widths back in the brake zone and just stuffed it in there. Now, you do that with the anticipation that Pagenaud's looking in his mirror and you're going to force the issue. But if I'm Pagenaud, I wouldn't have done anything different.
Well, he wasn't on his braking zone like you said he was driving all weekend. He was over on a different part of the track than he's been on all weekend. It's bumpier over there. He didn't really have any brake lockup, so it was really, he just stuffed it in there and really just punted, set Simon right out of the way.
So the order is Ryan Hunter-Reay, James Hinchcliffe. There's only 1 second between the two Andretti Autosport teammates. Joseph Newgarden for Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing is running third, ahead of Will Power and Elio Castro-Neves. Charlie Kimball is up to sixth. Marco Andretti, Jack Hawksworth, Carlos Munoz, and Mike Conway. That's your top 10 at the moment. After 35 of the 80 laps, we're fast approaching halfway.
Watching these guys battle it out, Bourdais, you know, working hard to hold off Kanaan. Hearing that Dixon, Kanaan's teammate, might be coming back on pit lane for some reason. We're trying to figure out why.
We're also hearing that Sebastian Bourdais may be penalised for coming onto pit road. Here he is. He's serving that penalty for entering pit lane when the pits were closed.
Well, you know, that's something you got to deal with. They needed the service for the contact earlier.
And that's really a relief for the guys he was racing there, being a lap down. And now this is going to probably put him another lap down with a penalty with Hunter-Reay at the pace that he's going. He's pulling away from Hinchcliffe, so the day is pretty much over for Sebastian.
And Juan Pablo Montoya at the back there in that number 2 Verizon Chevy, trying to plow his way through the field again after doing some excellent work early in the race. Just pitted at a unfortunate time and lost massive track position.
And he's coming up on another young Colombian, Sebastian Saavedra. Now, Saavedra had a terrible qualifying performance. They had decided to go down their own sort of setup road, and after qualifying just said, hey, Sebastian Bourdais super quick. Let's just bolt on the setup that he's got, and I'll figure out how to drive it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do. Sebastian's been quick all weekend. Saavedra was floundering around at the back, and Jimmy, I talked to Jimmy, he said, we're just going to put his setup on. It hasn't seemed to really help a lot, but Montoya has to be frustrated with how things have gone. He worked his way towards the front, missed that opportunity to pit when the yellow came out, and that was put him to the back of the field now, which is a lot of frustration there.
Now here's a guy we haven't talked about so far today. Charlie Kimball started further back, a race winner last season, just kind of smooth and steady, but here he is running in the top 5, top 6. He's 6th place right now. Not a lot of activity out of the hands, but man, he just nailed that apex curve hard. He hit it at the floor.
You could hear how loud that was in the car. Now think how you could hear the sound of that crunching. Think how that is on the body, on your back. When you hit those curves, it just jars right through your body, and he'll hit it again right here. Boom, over the curbs. But, you know, this guy is just smooth and steady. He won at Mid-Ohio, which is one of the toughest tracks on the circuit, and he's just working his way through the field.
And he put on one of the moves of the year on Will Power at Barber Motorsports Park earlier in the year. Let's talk more about Charlie Kimball. Here's Kelly.
Well, even though Charlie was reasonably pleased with his car all week, and they actually made some pretty big changes overnight, he said this morning he definitely had more confidence in the 83 car. When he came in for that last pit stop, they made a pressure adjustment for him, but overall, Kimball feeling really good in that 83.
And of course, Charlie's well known for being the first professional racer to be licensed to race with diabetes at this level. And Charlie recently went to DC as we see Graham Rahal serving a penalty for contact for turning Justin Wilson around. Kimball went to the nation's capital with Novo Nordisk, his sponsor, to participate in Advocacy Day.
You got Dixon in front of you. Let's just go after these guys.
Where he met with members of Congress talking about the challenges of living with diabetes. So he does some great work, Charlie Kimball, off and on the track. Look at this fight going on here. Two Andretti teammates, Carlos Munoz and Marco Andretti.
This Munoz kid is tough to get by.
We need to leave the streets of Long Beach for just a moment. What a fight it's been as we now approach the halfway mark. NBCSN is your home of motorsport, in particular open wheel racing. And coming up, it's the UBS Chinese Formula One Grand Prix. That's next Sunday. We look forward to that. That's depending on where you are in the country. It's Saturday night, Sunday morning, 2:30 a.m. Eastern on NBCSN. And coming off that Bahrain Grand Prix of a week ago, boy, oh boy, is there a lot to talk about in Formula One. We've got a lot to talk about too as we welcome you back to the streets of Long Beach, California. Not only the superstars of open wheel racing, we have an Olympic superstar here with us, gold and bronze medalist in bobsledding, Stephen Holcomb. If you watched the Olympic Winter Games coverage on the NBC Sports Family, you would have seen Stephen and his teammates do some amazing things. He broke two 62-year Olympic records in both 2- and 4-man bobsledding. And Steve, great to have you with us. Last time I saw you, you were in Sochi, Russia. What's it like to be here in California as we see another crash from Sebastian Bourdais? How was that two-seater ride, by the way?
It was amazing. You know, I had an idea going into it what it was going to feel like, and I was way off. You know, the power that these cars have and the control they have is actually amazing. I was expecting it to be a little more out of control, and but you know, we were going 150 miles an hour, and you see the corner coming up. I was like, we got to slow down here pretty soon. And of course, you know, he slows down pretty controlled, and we made the corner, and it was pretty cool.
So
really
Townsend mentioned we just got a call through on the headsets to say there's going to be an extra lap because Ari Leindyke has spun, and then we thought, hang on a second, Steve Holcomb's in with Ari. What happened?
He just came. I think he was either 5'6" or 6'7" or 7'8" maybe, and just came in a little hot. And I don't know. It was you could tell. I could tell something wasn't right when we went into it. And but a couple seconds before, I said, I was kind of joking. I said, I don't use brakes when I'm competing. Why are you using yours? And of course, you go to the next corner and spin out. So I felt a little bad, made to sit there. But I guess I got a little bonus ride, a little extra ride along. It was kind of cool.
Did you have to jump out and push to get restarted?
No, I thought about it. It was that very tight fit. I got more space in the box.
Let's see what happened here to Sebastian Bourdais. Man, another situation with the front brakes fully locked up. It's almost like the rear brakes weren't working at all there.
Yeah, it's fully locked in the front. Steering wheel turned. And you can see let go of the wheel there pretty hard.
Well,
That's
he let go, but he also threw his hands up as if, man,
disgust.
something's not working on
this
this
disgusted. Thing. That's the French.
Oh, look at this. Charlie Kimball.
Whoa.
He has significant engine issues.
That looks like left side engine bank.
We're done.
Oh, man, and he's so upset. God, he had a great run going. He knows it.
And this is his home race. His folks are here, family and friends. There's about 50 people here from his hometown cheering him on, but no more. We are into the second half of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach as we welcome you back to NBCSN's live coverage, and that is a stranded Charlie Kimball in his Novo Nordisk entry for Chip Ganassi Racing. Needed to update you earlier on that Will Power has escaped penalty for his contact with Simon Pagenaud. As the boys were alluding to, it kind of looked just like an awkward racing incident. However, we did see Graham Rahal in the National Guard entry receive a drive-through penalty. Let's take you back and let you inside the Team Rahal camp to listen to some radio transmission.
Okay, we got to do a drive-through for hitting Justin. I mean, if that's not incidental contact, I don't know what to say. I mean, the stack is terrible. I got hit by whoever was behind me. Just didn't spin. Push hard, Graham. Push hard here, babe. We'll be all right.
And that's the voice of his father, Bobby Rahal, where victory eluded Bobby on the streets of Long Beach. However, they've podiumed as a family many, many times. Marco Andretti's on pit lane.
Interesting strategy here, Lee, because everyone who pits here will be about 8 to 9 laps short from making it all the way on fuel, so they'll have to pit one more time. You see Scott Dixon coming into pit road as well. Dixon said, I just want to make as much time as I can. He's going to put on sticker reds. Dixon, you see Marco leaving pit road, so both of these guys pit, but once again, they'll be short on fuel for making it all the way
On your left.
They'll be short, Marty, but you know, they want to get those black tires off. We saw in that last stint, the reds clearly quicker over the course of the run, and they want to get those black tires off. Just give me all the speed I can get. Here's Charlie Kimball being pushed behind the wall. Tough break for that guy.
So as Charlie Kimball receives help, the initial reason for the caution was Sebastian Bourdais crashing into the tyre barriers, and then Kimball's car simply expired. We'll do what we always do. Yellow, commercial, come back and go racing. Long Beach hasn't disappointed so far this year, and nor has Joseph Newgarden. He has been quick all weekend, just like Hinch, James Hinchcliffe, third to second to first. The DHL Honda of Ryan Hunter-Reay, victorious in 2010 here on the streets of Long Beach. And he has led almost every lap of this race so far. We're coming to the end of our second full course caution. Welcome back to the Toyota Grand Prix here in Long Beach. Time now to see who has advanced with the Firestone biggest movers. And the rookie, Carlos Huertas, has gone 11 positions from his starting spot simply by staying out of trouble. Will Power has ground away to make up 10. And we are getting ready to go back to racing. Green flag flies here in Long Beach. And look at Carlos Munoz, pulls out of the draft there, looking to make up a position on Jack Hawksworth at the front.
And Mike Conway looking up the inside.
That was another perfect restart by Ryan Hunter-Reay. A lot of the drivers were very nervous about how this restart procedure was going to go after the last event at St. Pete.
Well, they all expected a big accordion, but I really like the way it's playing out. I mean,
yeah,
used to be back in the day,
restarts.
you'd only have 3 cars through the hairpin before the green came out, but it's picture perfect 2 times now.
Race director Bo Barfield asked the drivers at yesterday's drivers meeting, I'm going to leave it in your hands. Drive respectfully to each other, drive maturely. I'm going to leave it up to you. You know how to conduct yourselves.
Unfortunately, I think Simon Pagino's on the short end of that new mantra, Paul. I mean, man, that's a tough break for that guy, but it really sets the tone for mano a mano.
Whoa, look at Conway on Carlos.
Squeeze job, tight against the wall. I think he's got him. He's got him.
Up to 9, nice move.
Yeah, there was no respect there with Power and Pagino. And man, I wish Bo Barfield was the crew chief when I was driving. I would have got a lot less penalties.
You and me both. If we could turn back time, baby.
Look at that, Oriol Servia in the all-black car for Rahal Letterman Lanigan. He now works on Carlos Munoz.
How about Oriol Servia, a part-time racer, didn't compete at St. Pete, one test day, and look at him all over the back, pushing to get into that top 5.
Inside, and the Spanish driver thinks about it twice as Munoz comes up on Mike Conway. Hunter-Reay, Hinchcliffe, Newgarden, Power. Castro Neves has worked his way back up to 5th. Hawksworth, then this group of Conway, Munoz, Servia, and Huertas. The rookie doing a good job. Tony Kanaan just outside the top 10.
Now Munoz is struggling here because he's on his black tires, his one stint on black tires. Everybody else around him has the reds.
Close at the front, and the guys who shared and enjoyed the front row have been at the front of this race for the majority of the time. James Hinchcliffe in that blue and white. Andretti Autosport machine may not have got the best start, but boy, he came back strong, and he's been chasing his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay down ever since. Time to go through the field. Here's Marty.
Well, Lee, it's a beautiful day. Let's take you for a ride through the streets of Long Beach, and Ryan Hunter-Reay has had a nice and easy ride today up front for much of the day. In fact, the only adjustment on the car, 0.2 of a pound of air pressure out of the rear. His car was a little loose on the first run. They'll pit in about 5 laps, Kelly.
James Hinchcliffe recovered after that slow start. He's back up in that second position, although he's been complaining a bit about a loose back end. Behind him, Joseph Newgarden in the 67. The decision for him is whether to take black or red tires for his final stint. He said they're definitely faster on red, but they're going off quickly. The blacks are more consistent.
And Will Power back there in 4th. Now the race is starting to play their way. They're in a very good position. And don't be surprised if Power pits a little earlier here than everybody else. The strategy they used 2 years ago, Kevin, to get to the win here, they pitted first on that last stop with 31 to go and won the race.
And Power went in first among those top 4, but Castroneves came even a lap earlier, so they're hoping to make it a 2-stop strategy. They're going to need some yellows to get that done. Jax Hawksworth continues his great run in his second IndyCar race. He's running in the 6th position there. We see him in the 98 charter colors. What a fantastic run for Hawksworth. Brian Herta continues to tell him to save those push-to-passes for the end of the race. And Mike Conway running in 7th, the Fuzzies car. He started way back in the pack, and he suffered some wing damage at the start of the race, but they decided not to change, and he's been able to continue to attack. Look at Will Power going on the inside, and he can't make the move that time on Newgarden. Carlos Munoz, another one of the rookies, even though he had 3 races last year, but we remember his runner-up in the Indianapolis 500. He won here in Indy Lights last year, but he said that doesn't really do a lot because the braking points are different. It's so much different, but Carlos Munoz has proven to be a very quick study, Kelly.
Oriol Servia happy to be back in IndyCar. He said he had to knock the rust off earlier this week, and now he's complaining of some understeer, but his strategist said, luckily, you're an exceptional driver. Behind him is the rookie, Carlos Huertas. His first time here at this street circuit. He said he watched a lot of onboard cameras and felt like he learned the track pretty quickly.
Well, Kelly, for last year's winner, Takuma Sato, he's currently in the 11th position. He's trying to get back up to the top 10. They do have to make one more stop. He's trying to join guys like Mario Andretti, Al Unser Jr., Alex Zanardi, Sebastian Bourdais, and some dude named Tracy as back-to-back winners here at Long Beach. TK right behind him, Tony Kanaan in the 12th position. They pitted off sequence a little bit ago, and they finally have gotten the car a little bit better for TK. Remember, they've been struggling with rear grip all weekend. Car way too loose, wants to kick out on them in the turns. Much better on this run for Tony Kanaan, Kevin.
Marty, Sebastian Saavedra is salvaging a pretty good day of this in the number 17 AFS car we see there. Remember, he stalled at the start. They pitted early. He went a lap down, but he's gotten that lap back. And Sebastian Saavedra running at a pretty good pace now. Kelly?
Juan Pablo Montoya started on those red tires that he has struggled with all weekend until today. The team said he did much better, lasted much longer on them than they expected. He made no changes when he came in for his stop. Behind him is Graham Rahal, who has had a pretty miserable weekend. They struggled all throughout until this morning. Bobby Rahal told me they made some significant changes overnight, which really seemed to give Graham more of a racing car. Although he had to serve that penalty earlier, he's running 15th.
Kelly, Marco Andretti spent much of this first part of this race in the top 10. In fact, in the top 5 right now, he is in 16th. And he told me earlier this week, he said, I know we'll be good on the ovals this year. This is where I want to get better, the street courses. If we can be 20% better on the street and road courses, I know we'll be in a position where we can win this championship, Kevin.
Unlike some of the other rookies for Mikhail Iloshin, he is learning every single week. He said he spent the first 2 days simply trying to learn the circuit. Simulators help, but they don't just get it done. And side by side, and we see a move for position there. Iloshin, though, is attacking more and more through each session. We saw Andretti try to make a move on Rahal, couldn't get it done.
Mikhail Iloshin, who comes to the Verizon IndyCar Series from the Renault 3.5 Series, where he beat Formula One sensation Kevin Magnussen on occasions last year to win a race. He is very experienced, the 26-year-old Russian, but he is not experienced as far as IndyCar is concerned, but he has been very impressive.
Now watching this replay of Power trying to get around Newgarden, the reason that Power, whoa, he gets into the wing there, more questionable contact, but shouldn't hurt Newgarden too much. The reason Power is so anxious to get around, those 3 lead cars are all on black tires. He knows he's faster. If he can get to the front, he might pull out a gap before this last round of stops.
29 laps to go, and there's nothing between the Andretti Autosport teammates, Ryan Hunter-Reay, James Hinchcliffe, and then Joseph Newgarden shadowing them. He was not being put off by that contact from Will Power, who he is in 4th with his Penske teammate Helio Castroneves in the top 5. You won't miss a thing. We're off to a break. See you in a moment. Back on the streets of Long Beach, race leader Ryan Hunter-Reay and race contender and championship leader Will Power in, Marty.
Lee, as predicted very early in the window, this is a strategy they used 2 years ago. Will Power wants no changes to the car. His teammate Helio Castroneves also on sticker reds on for Will Power. His teammate Helio Castroneves follows him out.
Guys, this is the outlap for the win right here for Will Power. He was close enough to Hunter-Reay. If it stays green, these next several corners are everything to claim the lead here at Long Beach.
And he's got clear track. The last thing that you want to come out with is traffic when you have the reds on, and now he's got to make really quick out lap. The next 2 laps are going to be pivotal for him. He was within range of Hunter-Reay. If Hunter-Reay has a good stop, I think they're going to come out pretty much neck and neck with each other.
We've spoken a lot about the difference of willpower from the second half of the season on as Ryan Hunter-Reay comes in. We'll get back to that story in a moment, but let's focus on these two. This is first and second in the motor race, and this needs to be the best that Andretti Autosport's got to get Ryan Hunter-Reay serviced and sent to stay ahead of willpower.
And Hinchcliffe's got a great chance to just get ahead if his guys do an awesome job, which they've done all year so far.
Power's coming up to turn 9 of the 11-turn track.
And the money stop for Ryan Hunter-Reay and his team. He wanted no changes, but a long debate. He did a little turn on the front wing. Primary tires, not the red tires. Let's see where he sequences out.
Well, you see willpower on your left there, really washed out in the hairpin there. That's going to hurt his exit all the way down this long straightaway. Here it is.
Hunter-Reay's up to speed. Look to the right on Power's view. You'll see the yellow DHL car pop out, or do you? They've already gone.
Now hang on, Lee. Cold tires for both these guys. Willpower's up to temperature, up to pressure. He's going to catch them like you've never seen before.
Push hard here.
In the background, there's Power.
Both of these cars on blacks. We know that the blacks are not as quick as the reds. Willpower on fresh reds for the rest of the race. This is going to be a very, very interesting race.
Joseph Newgarden comes in. He's been running third for the majority of the race. What a day for Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing.
Going to sticker blacks. We're going to be real good here till the end.
As we mentioned, Joseph Newgarden was trying to debate whether to go with red or black tires. You see him putting on those new primaries right now, which means they won't be as quick as the red, but they should hold on longer.
Now let's see how this cycles through for Ryan Hunter-Reay. James Hinchcliffe. Power, incidentally, is all over the back of Hinchcliffe. And look to the right of your screen there. There is Newgarden with that fluorescent yellow being serviced. He's sent and he's on his way out. 50 miles per hour down the pit lane, the speed limit.
I am shocked that Hunter-Reay and Hinchcliffe went with blacks. Only 25 laps to go. You got Power on reds, and Power is going to be all over him the next 10 laps.
Here come the top 3. Joseph Newgarden comes out in front.
Wow.
How about that? But can he maintain it? Now they're going to be all over him. This is going to be the lap of Joseph Newgarden's life.
You got the first 3 guys on the harder black tires. Willpower on warm soft reds. Hunter-Reay to the inside.
Oh, 3 of them get taken out. Oh! Can you believe what you've just seen?
Castro Neves contact. Newgarden, Hinch, there goes Sato. They're plowing in. The track is blocked.
Nightmare.
This is a nightmare. The track is almost blocked.
Track is completely blocked. Stay in your car. Stay bolted in if you're okay.
My goodness. The guys who have dominated this race in the top 3 positions are done.
It is so hard to pass here that when you've got the target in sight, your eyes are as big as saucers and you're thinking, this is my chance. For Ryan Hunter-Reay, I'm afraid that wasn't high probability.
It was high risk, a little bit over optimistic, and I'm surprised at that move by Hunter-Reay. He's been so calm and so collected, and nothing has rattled him this weekend. But when he saw that car in front of him, he just went for the hole that was really just virtually closed.
And you look at Joseph Newgarden atop, James Hinchcliffe atop, Hawksworth.
And that is a blind corner, guys, coming through there. So for that kind of stack-up contact, you got Tony Kanaan also wrecked there. For that kind of contact, you have no idea those guys are there. Sato came around, nowhere to go.
Sarah Fisher cannot believe it, PT.
And it's a quick corner, as Sarah Fisher has to be absolutely gutted. This little team, which is really known as an oval team, they specialize really in ovals. It's really their first opportunity to win a street race. The kid was right at the front, trying to hang on, and a little bit of an over-optimistic move by Ryan.
Yeah, big time. I mean, he'll watch this replay and think, man, I want that back. That's not a brake zone.
I think
that's
he should have waited
the
to the next corner.
At least.
I think he could have squared him up and got him into the next corner.
All right, let's run you through a sequence of replays. And boy, did the Sarah Fisher-Hartman team do a superb job to get young Joseph out in time. And look, Sarah's pumped. She's pumped when she realized her young man from Nashville, Tennessee gets out at the front of the field. However, it was only for a matter of seconds. Here goes Ryan Hunter-Reay on the inside.
He knew he was there. He knew that Ryan was looking.
In fairness to Ryan, he knows that Newgarden's got cold tires, right?
Yeah.
So he's got 1 lap of heat in the tires.
And right at that
here comes
point,
Sato.
Oh,
yeah, Joseph knew he was coming and faded him, and it squeezed him. But Ryan, you know, he had the knife between his teeth. He was going no matter what.
Wow. And Will Power and Mike Conway said thank you very much as they just skipped on through. That was a big impact on Joseph.
Now there's going to be some guys here that go into podium contention. You got Conway's going to be P2. Montoya, I think, is going to end up 4th on this next restart once we get all this cleaned up. You've got Munoz is going to be 3rd, I believe.
And Montoya got through there as well.
I think Montoya's going to restart 4th. We're going to see another Colombian battle, I believe. Let's see here. There's Montoya. Oh, that's Huertas.
That's Huertas.
You're going to have Colombian 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the restart.
Now, right here, he's squeezing him, and then he stuffs it in and gets him right in the back wheel.
You know, when I look at it from that view, PT, I can see why Hunter-Reay thought that was his chance.
This is what it looked like from James Hinchcliffe's point of view. Running 2nd for the majority of the race and well and truly in the hunt. Watch this.
That's not going anywhere.
And this is what it looked like for the now race leader, Will Power.
Pretty smart driving there by Will. He saw all that happening.
You know, I think what happened there is what really threw Hunter-Reay off is the fact that Newgarden faded back over and opened the door sort of unexpectedly. You would expect him to just stay inside and block it.
All right, let's go to the Sarah Fisher-Hartman camp. Here's Kelly.
Yeah, and the excitement's certainly short-lived here. Sarah, if you just watch those replays, what goes through your mind?
It's racing, first of all, and everybody's racing hard. I understand that, you know, but what do you do when it's your corner? I think, you know, we need to look at making things clean from here on out. So I'm just sad for everybody here at Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing. They've done an incredible job this year so far. Joseph's a hell of a driver, and we stand behind him 100%.
All right, thank you. Marty?
Well, let's talk to the man who lost the 1st and 2nd place cars there, battling for the lead. What was your take when you saw the incident?
We're under a yellow.
You need to be a little more patient. Have you ever been through a more frustrating sequence with your team than that? Both cars taken out.
No, it's unbelievable. No, it's a tough one right now.
All right, Michael had his head in his hands a moment ago, just couldn't take the disbelief of his cars who run 1-2 all day long, Lee, out of it here with just a handful of laps to go.
That's 2-time winner here as a driver, Michael Andretti, and had 2 cars in the top 3 positions. And he's still got 2 cars left out there, but he is extremely frustrated, as you can understand. There's Michael's son, Marco, heading to the lane. Here's Sebastian Spade.
Saavedra needed to come in for fuel. He was the leader. Remember, he stalled at the start. Also an issue for Sebastian Saavedra. Before that incident, he thinks he may have suffered a broken finger when he was hit by debris, so he's going to try to soldier through.
You know, how do you break your finger, you might be asking at home. Well, when you're turning on a street course in these cars, your right hand or your left hand, depending on which way you're turning, is actually sticking above the monocoque, the carbon fiber tub that you sit in, and a piece of debris, you know, if it's heavy enough, I could easily see that breaking your finger.
So we have Olympic star Stephen Holcomb with us, bobsled star, and Holkie, they talk about the violent nature of bobsledding. What's your take on that?
This is definitely a little different. We're only out there by ourselves. And it's actually, you know, it's okay if we're hitting walls. It's not a big deal. And you got to remember that when we get out of our sleds and into our cars, it's not okay to hit the wall in your car. But this is incredible. This has been an incredible race so far. I mean, I got to say I'm glad there's only one of us on the track at a time. You know, it'd be a little different having 3 or 4 of us trying to make it through corners at the same time.
Well, what you saw right there was about the equivalent of tipping it on its side and sliding down the track on your side. That was what it was like for, I guess, if what we were doing, what you do, that's what it's like to slide on your side.
I mean, that was incredible. I mean, that was just some great racing. I mean, these guys are pushing it, trying to win these races, and it takes you got to take chances, and sometimes, you know, those chances don't work out. That's unfortunate.
Now, Stephen Townsend is doing the Indy 500 this year with KV Racing. Paul, we're not quite sure about yet, so could we do some recruiting? Could Paul Tracy make it in bobsledding, you think?
Yeah. I mean, come on out. It'd be a good time. We've had a number of NASCAR. We even had Morgan Lucas come out from, and it's a
look at the quads on PT. Look at that.
I don't know about that. I'm not a pusher. I just want to sit in the front seat and drive.
I'm with you on there. I just
you do the pushing.
drivers.
All right, we need to get down to Kelly Stavers. Kelly?
Well, Justin Wilson was one of those drivers who made his second pit stop a little outside of that fuel window. They've been telling him to save as much as they can, but they also said they were going to need about 10 laps under caution to help him get through to the end. This extended full course caution is certainly helping him out, so keep an eye on Justin Wilson, who is currently in 4th place. We'll see if he can make it that much more as we come back to Long Beach for the 40th running of the Long Beach Grand Prix.
The cleanup continues here on the streets of Long Beach for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, round 2 of the Verizon IndyCar Series. If you're just turning on, we've seen one of the most extraordinary crashes here, a multi-car pile-up and a battle for the lead. Joseph Newgarden had just pitted. He was effectively in the lead of the race. Ryan Hunter-Reay wanted to steal that away from him and forced the issue pretty aggressively. His Andretti teammate James Hinchcliffe followed in. Will Power escaped any injury there. He got through, so too did Mike Conway. Elio Castro Neves did not, and watch this. Munoz misses, Sato does not, Kanaan does not, nor does Jack Hawksworth. And Juan Pablo Montoya did a very nice job there. Under brakes, avoided everybody. And here it is from Ryan Hunter-Reay's angle.
You know, on board with Hunter-Reay, I wouldn't want to be a race official these days, because how is that any different than the Pagenaud situation with Bourdais? You know, look what it leads to. So, gosh, it's so tough to go from, you know, boys have at it to over officiating, and in this case, there's no officiating to be done. All these cars are done.
And that Sato's crash was really, really hard. He really did a lot of damage to the car.
Here's Marty.
Tony Kanaan was one of the guys who piled in there, and what was your take of that?
I think people being greedy. I mean, I had nothing to do with it, but you know, on cone tires out of the pits, you know, the Target Chip Ganassi boys did such a great job on the stop. But Barry told me in the radio to be cautious, but you know, we were going in there, and then Sato hit it. And all of a sudden, the 98 car was also behind me really close and kind of pushed me a little bit. Obviously, he couldn't see either, and you guys saw what happened. So basically, whoever started that, I would say it wasn't a smart move, especially in that corner, but we just caught by surprise.
Frustrating end of the day for Tony Kanaan, who finally had things going in the right direction, Kelly.
Yeah, talk about frustrating, especially for Joseph Newgarden coming out there on top, but tell me what happened.
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, I was on cold tires. It's very hard to control the car. You know, I knew Hunter-Reay was on hot, and that, you know, at some point he's probably going to get me. But I didn't expect anyone to come up in the inside of 4. It's so little room in 4 that, you know, you normally can't make a pass there, even if something like that's going on. So I tried to give Hunter-Reay a little room unless he got in there too hot and put a wing in. And, you know, next thing I knew, I was in the wall, and then I was just getting plowed into by everyone. And I just feel bad. I mean, you know, that shouldn't happen up front. It really shouldn't. You shouldn't have incidents like that. You're running up front clean all day. I feel bad for Honda. I mean, you had three Hondas in the top doing a great job. You know, everyone on this team at Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing. It's one race out of the year. It's obviously it's a tough one because it's Long Beach and because we were running up front. But, you know, we had a great car, and credit to my whole team. I mean, they built an amazing car. We had good stops. So I feel bad for our group, everyone that's involved with us, and especially Honda. It's just it's a tough break for everyone all around. So we'll just have to try and move on to the next one.
Disappointing end for the 67 car, Lee.
Yeah, one of the homegrown talents from Nashville, Tennessee. Great American IndyCar driver who has a huge future, and he may have been able to pull off his very first win today, but that's no longer not the case, nor for the defending race winner, Takuma Sato. His day's done as well. It's the 40th running of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach here on NBCSN, and one that we will remember for a long time, not just because of the significance of the amount of events that have been run here, but the way this event has run the weekend. It's been enjoyable. Qualifying was gripping yesterday, and this race has given us everything, including a huge wreck. If you've just turned on, a multi-car pile-up between Joseph Newgarden, Ryan Hunter-Reay, James Hinchcliffe, Tony Kanaan, Jack Hawksworth, Elio Castro Neves was affected, and it has really opened up this field, especially for Carlos Munoz there, one of Michael Andretti's drivers, who has done a very good job weaving his way through that wreckage, and he is now in contention. He's now vying for a podium, and he is our Mazda driver profile athlete today, the 22-year-old Colombian. Of course, he won here on the streets of Long Beach last year in Firestone Indy Lights. Can he be a podium place getter at Long Beach? We welcome you back to Long Beach at the perfect time. The yellow is finished. The third full course caution is over. It's time to go racing, and do we race to the end? Whoa, somebody jumped out of the line massively there. That was Carlos Huertas, the rookie.
That was Huertas on Munoz. You see him side by side, green car, red car, about 5 back.
And I'm pretty sure that will draw a penalty, because Bo Barfield said in the driver's meeting he wanted to see nobody show a nose or pop out of line until the green came out.
Exactly, and look at that. Mike Conway wrapped up Will Power. That was a nice move. And now Carlos Munoz in that green and white car, putting the pressure on Montoya, Huertas, and Graham Rahal is suddenly back in the mix.
Graham Rahal all over the back of Montoya on that restart. Now Huertas, where did this guy come from? Started dead last. Great racer he is.
And up front, Justin Wilson putting the pressure on Scott Dixon. Now, importantly, we must note these two guys at the front, Dixon and Wilson, who are duking it out. Oh, they hit! Wilson's over and out.
And his suspension's bent. That's him done.
Justin Wilson is done for the day.
And we were just talking about these guys last pitted on lap 43, so they've got a good 21 laps on these reds. Dixon has been absolute junk on old tires. He's going to be hanging on, trying to save fuel and hope a miracle happens here.
Look at Conway. He's gotten around Power, and I think he's going to make a move on Scott on this straightaway.
And Will Power will be trying to line up Mike Conway. Here we go, the drag down Shoreline Drive.
And Marco Andretti is going to need a new front wing after the contact in the hairpin we just saw there.
Who's got what?
Do I see a little flapping on Conway? Conway's got damage on the right front wing. Power looking to the inside.
Then we go back to Munoz. Pablo Montoya is running in the top 5.
Will Power's really working that over-under move in the braking zone. He goes to the outside, and then he swerves back around to the inside.
Unbelievable.
To get out of
Your championship points leader starts 14th, runs a guy off the road, doesn't get a penalty. Your leader's junk on old tires. Second place is damaged, and Will Power's right where he wants to be.
And no news on the rookie Huertas, whether he's going to receive a penalty for jumping out of the line on that restart. The National Guard entry for Graham Rahal. He's looking at the rookie and looking for a way through. Dixon, Conway, Power, Munoz. And we just got the word that race control is investigating the restart.
Yeah, that's definitely not helping the Fuzzy's car. With that wing flapping, it can't help the downforce on the front.
It can't, but don't forget, there's really no fast corners here. And so I've seen a lot of guys drive with moderate damage on their front wings and hang on.
Plenty of debris all over the track, exiting the hairpin. And look at that big chunk of debris there as well. It has been a rough race today in Long Beach.
I would guess that's a piece of Marco Andretti, but let's see what happens here in front.
That wing is shredding itself apart now. You see on Mike Conway's car, if you watch it at the end of the straightaway, it's flapping really bad. And sooner or later, that front wing will completely break its second element off.
Scott Dixon has 10 less laps of fuel aboard his target machine, and there is Marco Andretti's damaged front end.
Now, Dixon's going to have to try to hang on for 14 laps, and I think over the next few laps, you're going to see a guy really struggling with the handling of that target car. Conway looks to be hanging in there. We know he's got the front wing damage, but again, we think Power's in the strongest position here. And how about Graham Rahal running 7th? If these guys falter, he could be in for a podium.
And guess what? He's going to be elevated to 6th because news just handed down from race control. Huertas will be handed a drive-through penalty for jumping the restart. Let's take you back just a few laps. This is what happened on the restart lap between Scott Dixon on the left and Justin Wilson on the right.
And I don't even think Dixon even knew he was there. You could see his head was turned to the right. He was looking for the corner. You would never think a guy would be out there because your line of sight is looking for the corner.
Absolutely no way to pass on the outside of that corner.
And this is what happened to Marco Andretti. Look at the yellow and blue car coming to an opportunistic move on the inside and collides with Mikhail Aloshin.
And that really hurts Serbia as well.
Graham Rahal, and we said he was going to be elevated to 6th. What happened to the National Guard man?
Well, more than likely, there would have been some contact from the rear, and now he's got fire on the right front brake caliper. He's pointing to it saying, hey, we got to get this out. Those brakes are so hot that if you come to an immediate stop like that, it's not hard for things to light up.
And we're under full course caution for the 4th time. Again, this helps Scott Dixon big time.
And this is the reason why that they needed to stay out, because they might be able to stretch this far enough to win this race.
Well, somebody hit him. I'm not quite sure who would have been directly behind him. Was it Justin? No, it wasn't Wilson.
It was Michaela Lotion was immediately behind him.
It almost looked like somebody hit him, didn't it? Because it just snapped right around.
Yeah.
So what was a great run has come to a very abrupt halt for Graham Rahal. What an eventful day it's been for him. The man who finished runner-up in this event last year. Extremely frustrating practice sessions, qualifying session. However, as Kelly documented earlier, it turned around in the warm-up after massive work at Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. However, now it takes a turn for the worst, and guess what? We've only got 12 laps to go. Can Scott Dixon hang on? That's the biggest question that needs to be answered.
If we get another yellow, he might be able to do it, because these yellows are breeding yellows. Guys, now it's the end of the race, and they are getting after it right now.
And most importantly, those rear tires are getting slow laps. You know, he's not putting the abuse that really has hurt him today, Lee.
All right, let's find out who has gone the Firestone extra mile. And it is the man sitting in second place in the Fuzzies machine for Ed Carpenter Racing. Look at Mike Conway here on the inside of Marco Andretti at turn 9. This was very early in the race, executed that pass nicely. And yes, again, turn 9. This is Conway corner. He does it again easily there on Carlos Munoz as well. So the man who has a very busy schedule coming up between racing IndyCar and the World Endurance Championship, going back and forth across the Atlantic, is getting the job done here, Marty.
Well, Lee, Ryan Hunter-Reay's had a chance to take a breath and collect his thoughts. He has not, however, seen a replay. I just want to get your take from behind the wheel of what happened with the incident there with Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, we had a strong car, and Newgarden came out of pit lane, and I knew he was on cold tires, so he was really struggling to get up to speed through turn 1, and then to turn 3, he had some wheel spin, so I went for it. And see, right there, now I'm starting to back out of it already because he's closing the door. You know, I could have waited a little bit later. You know, maybe that's my fault, but at the same time, if you back it up a little bit, I had at least a half a car up alongside of him. Right here, he got some wheel spin, and so I went for it right here. And then, yeah, giving each other a little bit of room, both of us would have got us both through there. But you know, it's down to me to make the pass, I guess. I'm not sure. You know, a lot of people say that was my fault. I made the decision at that split second when he had some wheel spin to go for it, knowing that I was on warm tires, on hot tires, and you know, it's the type of driver I am. I go for it. So I feel bad for everybody involved in it. Obviously, it was a bit of a bottleneck there, and it got others involved in it that didn't deserve to be involved in it. That's what I feel, you know, really bad about. But thank you to DHL, Honda. The 28 car was so strong today. It feels, you don't know how down I am about the fact that we're sitting here talking right now and not out there racing. But thanks to all the fans for turning out to this Verizon IndyCar event. It was awesome, as Long Beach always is. Just very, very disappointed. I'll look at it again, but, you know, a racing driver, when he's in the moment and he sees a chance to go for it, I went for it because I want to win the race.
There you go, Ryan Hunter-Reay explaining his side of the story, saying probably could have been a little more patient, but that was my shot to win the race. Kevin?
Well, the Fuzzies team, Ed Carpenter, on the pit stand now, not happy to see that caution. You wanted to stay green because if it's green, Dixon has to pit.
Yeah, I still think they're probably a lap short, so, but, you know, more yellow. There's water in turn 11, so that could make things hairy, but I think we're better than him anyway, so as long as we can hold off the guys behind, we got a good chance.
He suffered some wing damage at the start of the race. Is that affecting the car?
It happened lap one in the hairpin, so it's been okay.
Great drive for Mike Conway, again up to the front. Remember, this is where he won for the first time in 2011. He might be in the driver's seat right now, but he's got Will Power right behind him, Robin.
Hey, Kevin, at St. Pete, you know, he was running third on a yellow, didn't hear the call to come into the pits. There was a miscommunication. He stays out, ends up at the back, has to have a drive-through when he finally does pit. But Ed Carpenter's decision to run the ovals and hire Mike Conway to run the road courses has already paid off. He was strong, almost a podium now a chance to win.
Because it's more than just the driver, right, Robin? We're doing it for team, we're doing it for sponsor, doing it for manufacturers. There's so many other elements. It's time to go green with 11 laps to go. Has Scott Dixon got enough fuel in that Target machine to get home on a track where he has never stood on the podium?
The biggest problem right now that these guys are going to suffer is the tire pickup, like driving around under yellow on those last couple 3 corners.
How about Simon Pagenaud there? Did you see him duck out of the line and then attack one Pablo Montoya? Through turn 1, is it clean? Yes, it is.
But one of the things that Power and Conway are going to struggle with, no more push to passes left. Dixon has been very thrifty, as he normally is. He's got 2 to go. He used 1 on that restart, so he's got a little breathing room. He can get this done.
You get 10 push to passes here at Long Beach, which give you that extra little bit for some 200 seconds over the course of the race. On board with Power, 3rd place.
Well, this is a great view because we can see Will pushing hard, and we also have Dixon up ahead. We can see if he's struggling to hold on to those Firestone Reds that now have close to 35 laps on them.
And to show you and to underscore how you have to have that reactionary flexibility, you've got to move and you've got to make a decision in a split second. The Target team had tyres out on the last caution to service Scott Dixon. Mike Hull said, no, let's go against it. Let's stay out there. And in consultation with Scott Dixon, they're staying out there. They're rolling the dice. There's a win on the line.
And Dixon was saying, I need tires. This thing is falling apart on long runs. Mike's saying, I believe in you, kid. We just got to stay out there. There's nothing in it if we pit.
And you can see coming off the hairpin, Dixon was checking his mirror to see where Conway was, but he's pretty good off the hairpin for how old these tires are. He's getting pretty good traction, and really the main spot to pass is on the front straightaway, and he's quite good off the last corner.
10th place, Elio Castro Neves is going to be penalized for jumping the restart. Meanwhile, it's time to hear from James Hinchcliffe. Here he is.
9 to go. Exciting racing on the track back in the paddock. James Hinchcliffe, and I see your left rift is taped up. What happened?
Just, was trying to get around Joseph, and when I eventually made contact, your full opposite lock, and the wheel just snapped around and just sprained it, I think. Nothing broken, so we'll be all right, I think.
What was your take on the accident?
It's... I guess what I got to say is it's a tough break just because, obviously we didn't have a great start, but we made some moves to get back up into P2 there, and, we were chasing Ryan, and the Andretti Autosport cars were rocking it, and to be running up front in the UFD car, we were so happy, and I guess at the end of the day, patience is a virtue, and someone wasn't very virtuous today, and it cost both of us and this team a lot. So I'm pretty disappointed. It was a rookie move, and I feel bad for Joseph and Tony and everybody else that got involved. It just sucks to throw away such a strong race that we had going. So, but we'll live to race another day. We'll bounce back and get the United Fiber data car back up there again.
Tough to take for this entire Andretti Autosport team. Again, Hinchcliffe with his entire left wrist wrapped up, Lee, but he said he does not think it's broken. He'll have it x-rayed this week.
There's still one Andretti Autosport car left in the fight, and it runs forth, that green and white car of the 22-year-old Colombian Carlos Munoz. He's in the mix. He's leading fellow Colombian Juan Pablo Montoya, who's back there in 4th spot. But at the front, it's Ganassi, Ed Carpenter Racing, Penske, and then Andretti Autosport.
Which is a half lap short.
This reminds me of the qualifying on pole day for the Indianapolis 500, where Ed Carpenter took on the big teams and won.
And now here's Scott Dixon. You just heard Mike Hull on the radio saying the fuel number he hit on the last lap leaves them a half lap short of making it to the end, but he's got the whole field on the back of him. How do you save fuel?
You cannot save fuel now, but you can see he gets off that last corner quite well, but Mike Conway is attacking him from turn 1 all the way back to the hairpin. So the harder he pushes him, the more fuel he's going to have to use.
And Scott Dixon is one of the best in this field at fuel economy. It goes all the way back to the days where he did days and days and weeks of testing for Toyota when they first came into the series, and he said that's where I learned to be gentle on that throttle.
He is good at saving fuel. He is good at managing drama, but there is nothing like the drama he has
Conway's
now.
looking.
Watch him try to manage the tires as well. That handling is going away from him. Conway's all over the back of him now.
You won't find a driver that is more cool under pressure than Scott Dixon.
But how much
is
can
probably right now under the most pressure that I've ever seen him under in his career.
And I can't believe how you drivers manage all this, T-Bell, and it's just so much going on in the car because they're telling him a number to hit, but he has to slow down to hit that number, so he has to save fuel. And he's got Conway right behind him, and he knows Will Power has the better tires behind him as well. But you have to remember, this is the only active track where Scott Dixon is not finished on the podium. You think he wants to win at Long Beach? Oh, yeah.
And on a weekend where the Chevrolet teams were moping around at the power and performance of the Honda teams, Chevrolet power is 1, 2, and 3.
And Dixon is doing a brilliant job in the critical part of the track for this situation, which is out of the hairpin. He really checks up at the apex so he has a good, clean exit, because really the easiest place for Conway to pass is turn 1. He also probably knows from his team, Conway has no push to pass push-to-pass advantages left, and Dixon's got 2 in the bag to defend. So it's all about clean hairpin exits. If he can hang on through all of this infield section, these tighter corners, keep doing that in the hairpin, he's got a great shot.
And look at this. You can throw a blanket over the top 7 cars. Any mistake of Conway trying to make an aggressive pass can cause the same thing that happened with Hunter-Reay, and any of these cars could win in the top 7.
And here's my question, guys, from the Conway pit for Townsend and Paul. Thinking that he may have to pit, how aggressive is Conway until we get to the final couple of laps? Does he just want to keep power in front of him and stay within range in case Dixon can't make it on fuel? Why risk the chance?
Well, here's the deal, Kevin, because if he pushes, Dixon has to use more fuel and, of course, has to use more tires. But if he can keep Dixon forced to burn the fuel, he's going to have to pit or he's just going to run out.
Kevin, if it was me, I would be all over Dixon like a cheap suit, which he is doing right now.
We haven't seen you drive like that, Paul Tracy, before, have we?
You were wearing a cheap suit earlier. You got to get a Robert Graham, my man.
Look at this. Scott Dixon, Mike Conway, Will Power, Carlos Munoz, Juan Pablo Montoya, Simon Pagenaud, the rookie, Michael Aloshin, Oriol Servia, Marco Andretti, and Sebastian Saavedra. That's your top 10. We're going to see the Iceman. Will he melt out front? Dixon is doing a good job. The 3-time champion, as Marty said earlier, has never even stood on the podium here at Long Beach. It's a track that just hasn't gelled with him. Maybe today is that day.
Now the guys that could force the mistake that might come is a Montoya or maybe a Munoz. They've got the win in sight, but it's not going to happen staying in line. They're going to have to make something happen and happen soon.
This kid driving the Sensei entry, the green and white car for Andretti Autosport, Carlos Munoz, showed what he's made of last year at the Indianapolis 500 when he finished runner-up. He was sensational. And here again, as a rookie in his first full IndyCar season, is showing that he can take it to the big boys.
And how about Simon Pagenaud in 6th position? He was backwards in the fence after that contact with Power. He's come fighting back, had an incredible restart.
And look at Aloshin. We haven't talked about him all day. He was running at the back of the pack all day, currently 7th. And watching this race in front of him, I tell you what, you're going to learn a lot right here.
As to add to the drama further for Scott Dixon, Mike Hull just told him on the radio again, Scott, you're still half a lap short. You've got to get me something somewhere. What a debate for this guy. He needs to slow down, but he needs to keep the lead.
If I could punch the guy on the stand right now, I would. It's like, I know I need to save fuel, but I'm in it to win it.
3.5 laps to go on the streets of Long Beach. Everybody's been talking about the Bahrain Formula One Grand Prix of a week ago. How about this Verizon IndyCar Series race? You couldn't ask for a better finish.
And lurking just at the back of this freight train is Oriol Servia, who's just been flawless all day long. So if anything happens, if there's a big misstep, he could inherit a podium.
Juan Pablo Montoya. You got 2 Penske's in the top 5.
3 laps to go, 3 laps to go. Everything looks good here. Tire pressures are good. Everything looks good. 3 to go.
Montoya is back where the dream career started. And speaking of one of his oldest rivals, Scott Dixon, as Will Power fends off Munoz. Look at the average finish for Scott Dixon here on the streets of Long Beach, higher than 15th. He's in the lead at the moment. Power's coming under increasing pressure from the rookie.
They're starting to stretch away from Power. Power looks like he's starting to struggle a little bit.
The championship leader sitting 3rd. This may now be a 2-horse race. Dixon and Conway, the Kiwi and the Brit.
I get the feeling that Conway can see that they're weak. We're hearing that somebody's laying out. Is that Dixon?
Ganassi. It's Ganassi. What would you do here?
Well, I wonder if they say you're going to be a half a lap short, if it really means you're more like 2 laps short, so you're not letting your competitors know if they're monitoring the scanner that you really have no chance. But let's find out.
I think with the cars that are running now, whether you pit or not pit, you're going to finish in the same position. If it was me, I would stay out to the end, and if I ran out of fuel, you're going to finish 15th. If you
pit on this lap, pit now, pit now.
Oh, Dixon's in. The race leader is in.
So half a lap was a joke. They weren't close to making it. Now Conway's got clean air. And well, I expect him to just be a rocket ship here, and Power's going to try to hang on.
I completely agree with you. I think you're going to see Conway just stretch away from Power now.
There is Ed Carpenter of the Fuzzies Ed Carpenter Racing Team. Mike Conway has won here at Long Beach, and he's won at Detroit. Is Will Power going to push him? Can he do anything? Can Power get back-to-back wins and keep this victory streak, this successive roll going?
Conway, Power, Munoz, all 0 push-to-passes remain. Juan Pablo Montoya, 1 left. When's he going to use it?
Well, he's got to use it here pretty soon. I'm sure he doesn't want to be beaten by the younger Colombian. He wants to teach him a lesson, get himself on his first podium, which would be a great result for him coming back.
Conway, Power, Munoz. Will that be our podium in that order? Coming down to the final run. Will Power won the final 2 races of 2013. He won the season opener at St. Petersburg. Can he keep this streak going?
Flag, white flag.
Well,
last
lap to go. He's going to have to close this gap here with a very deep turn 1 brake zone. Let's see what's happened.
He told Marty Snyder earlier, I'm just in a different mindset now. I'm going for the win. I'm not counting points. I'm not thinking where I am in the championship. It's all about victories.
Lee, I'm watching Mike Conway's car, and man, it looks hooked up. It looks like he is just managing this gap. He's got no issues on balance. Great grip out of the Fuzzy's car. And man, Will Power's going to have to pull off a miracle here.
There was some radio transmission issues aboard the Fuzzy's Chevrolet for Mike Conway at St. Petersburg a couple of weeks ago, and he missed the pit box to come in and pit when it was time under caution. Then he passed the safety car. It all kind of went wrong when he was headed for a podium. Maybe he was headed for a win. Well, it's all gone his way today with good passing, a cool head, and he's held off the challenge. He's put the pressure on when needed, but this is going to be a marvelous moment, and the strategy from Ed Carpenter to put a road and street course specialist in has paid off. For the 2nd time in his career, Mike Conway is victorious on the streets of Long Beach.
You got it, buddy, you got it.
How about that? He takes the Fuzzy's Vodka Ed Carpenter Chevrolet to victory lane.
Thank you so much.
Wow, for a guy that was almost out of IndyCar racing altogether, he didn't want to race on ovals. You can just tell sheer joy in his voice. He loves winning here.
And he's going to be the busiest man in motorsports in the next few weeks.
He's off to Silverstone next weekend to compete in the World Endurance Championship. He's back for Barber. He's back to the World Endurance Championship. He's back to do the Indianapolis Grand Prix. A very busy man, but right now, he's a victorious driver in the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Back at the streets of Long Beach, the 40th Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, where Mike Conway is a winner for the 2nd time here, the 3rd time in his career. And Ed Carpenter's decision to step out of the cockpit outside of the O's pays off in just the 2nd try. Conway riding the Dallara chassis, celebrating with the boss. What a run for Mike Conway. Mike, you are as calm, cool, and collected. We joke about your pulse is always at 40. You've got to be fired up.
I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm actually here. I mean, wow, just awesome job by the team. We just really hung in there all day. You know, we weren't sure what we had, but just hung in there all the way at the end, and it just seemed to come to us. And just fantastic job by the boys, all the Fuzzy crew. I can't believe it. 2 times Long Beach winner. It's unbelievable. It's just so good to be back here. Ugly faces over there somewhere, so there can be 2 of them now.
I talked to you after just about every session. I never sensed that you had confidence that you could run way up front. You thought you could make something out of it, and then you add in you broke the front wing at the beginning of the race. How are you here?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, you never know where you're going to be, so you just got to push as hard as you can all the time. All the way to the end I pushed. I knew Will was going to be close, and he was good off the last corner, but I knew I just had to keep it clean there. I wasn't sure if Scott was going to pull in. I couldn't see him saving fuel, and the guys were like, oh, he should be saving, and I was like, oh, no. But a 2nd would have been good anyway, but now I can't believe it. 2nd place, and yeah, I mean, I had so much drag off that front wing, but awesome.
Would you have tried to pass him in the final 3, 4, 5, 6 laps, knowing he might have to pit? Did you just want to pressure, or would you have taken the chance?
I was thinking about it at the beginning. I mean, I got close a couple of times, but then after that, it was hard to get really close enough for a pass, and my overtakes were finished. So I couldn't really get close enough, to be honest, and I wouldn't have risked it. But I couldn't see him. I didn't really know if he had to save fuel or not. The guy was telling me he had to, so I just stayed behind him and hoped that he pulled in, and then he did 2 laps to go. So it was like a gift from up off.
And obviously we lost some contenders with the crash up front and then the near track blockage. How close was it for you to squeak through there?
Well, luckily, Lee Bentham, who was on the radio down at that section, luckily told me there's a stay right, and then I stayed right through the corner, saw the 2 on the left, and then another 2 came together and speared right. So I managed just to get in between, and that was it. So, wow, I can't believe I'm here, though. It's so cool.
Congratulations. For the 2nd time, Mike Conway is a winner. For the 40th time, They run Indy cars or open wheel cars in Long Beach, and Conway now a two-time winner. Who says he doesn't get excited? Conway enjoying victory, and plenty more to come here from the streets of Long Beach in the Toyota Grand Prix. Lee?
And look at that, from the highs to the lows. Scott Dixon, who had done such an awesome job, came up about 2.5 laps shy on fuel. No podium again for Scott Dixon. For Mike Conway, he joins the likes of Michael Andretti and Alex Zanardi as a two-time Long Beach winner. The second largest seaport in the United States, Long Beach. It sees plenty of traffic on the water, and it did today on the road. What a day for the 40th running of this famed event, and Mike Conway comes out on top yet again. And Will Power, a first in race 1, a second in race 2, and Carlos Munoz, the standout rookie who gets his second podium in just his 5th IndyCar start. How about that? Let's hear from the man who finished runner-up and leads this championship, Will Power with Marty.
Well, for Will Power, it was 14th to 2nd. Not quite the win today. Let's talk about a couple of things. One, the strategy. You guys had to make up some ground. But two, how did you get through that mess when the whole track was blocked?
I could see that happening, actually, because when Hunter-Reay went to go off his inside, he wasn't quite there. And, yeah, I just kind of hung back and was ready for something to happen because they were all on cold tyres. But definitely a good day. I kind of regret not using that push to pass on the restart. I thought I'd save it and get Mike later, but he was quick, and he's mega quick. He's deserving winner.
It was an eventful day, and you ran into your friend Simon Pagenaud afterwards. Some words. What did you guys say to each other?
Man, I'm really sorry what happened. I honestly thought he had a problem because he went back really slowly, and so I went up his inside and then realized he was just going to turn and try to back out, and I got him. Yeah, my bad. Like, I feel bad. I mean, man, I don't like to be raced like that, and I'm surprised I didn't get a penalty, but yeah, and I honestly thought he had a flat tire or something because he was really slow, and I didn't understand why. I just thought he had a problem, but yeah, my bad.
He seemed quite angry. Did he not want to hear of your apology?
Well, he should be angry. Man, I'd be the same.
Will Power starts the year off with a win and a second place here today. Lee?
And a big bag of points, but as you can tell, they're very apologetic, Townsend.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? It's guys get fired up. You go on to the next one. Kelly?
What a day it was for the rookie Carlos Munoz to round out the podium here in Long Beach. Carlos, how did you manage to hold off the veteran Juan Pablo Montoya there on that final restart?
Yeah, it was a really good race. I think third is good. I'm not like the way I earned it. My teammates have a bad luck there. But anyways, it's racing. Couldn't happen to me in the Indy Cup. It happened to me a long time ago. A lot of races. This is racing. I'm really happy for the third place. Yeah, it was a great last laps. We were really close from each other. All the four first, with Juan in the back. I think in the end he gets stronger. So anyway, I'm really happy to finish third. I have to thank my crew. They did an awesome job on pit stops. All my sponsor Andretti to give me a nice car.
Right, the rookie making his mark early here in 2014, Lee.
Thanks, Kelly. Paul Tracy, you like what you see with Munoz?
Definitely. I mean, the guy was a rocket at Indianapolis, and he's fast on the street courses as well.
Second podium in 5 IndyCar starts. That's a window into what we can expect from the 22-year-old Colombian, Carlos Munoz. More from Long Beach after this. What a weekend we've had here at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. The Who's, Roger Daltrey, Olympic legend Stephen Holcomb. Everybody's had a fantastic time, I think, except for Target Chip Ganassi's Scott Dixon. Here he is.
Well, Scott, you were in the driver's seat, but we knew you had to save fuel. Just needed one more caution.
Yeah, we were only about a half a lap short, but the last thing I wanted to do was run out of gas in front of the whole field and maybe cause a big accident. And I really want to apologise to Justin. I got to look at what happened there. I didn't expect him to be on the outside of me in turn 8. You're looking to the right, and obviously got into him. I only felt a little tap there, but apologise to him and his whole team there. But yeah, we just had a really kind of a messy day. With we caution with board A, like lap 25 or 26. We tried to stay out to jump quite a few cars, and that caught us out there. We cycled to the back, and then we had some anti-stall issues. But it was a fun day, some exciting racing. But we were about a half a lap short, and it was pretty ambitious.
Thank you, Scott. Could have won. Instead, Scott Dixon finishes 12th.
Well, from 16th at the start to 4th place for Juan Pablo, what a turn of events for you this week. most importantly, you got through that chaos that we saw in the turn. How did you manage to eke your way through there?
Well, it's kind of funny because I saw the yellow flag. It just came out, and I went to map 8. And you don't know, is it a car just on the end? So I backed off a little bit, went through there. I'm like, oh, clutch, turn, brake, try to avoid it. But I'll tell you, everybody in Team Penske this week did an amazing job. My Verizon Chevy's been pretty outstanding today. We had a really quick car. It took a few laps to come in, but it was really, really good. We needed a good finish, just something to build on. And that's what we got to be doing. I don't feel like I'm 100% yet, but I feel like I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, even before that, we saw you working your way through on the opening stint on those red tires. How much more comfortable are you with them?
I'll tell you the truth. I paid the price in St. Peter and I learned my lesson. So here we went the other way, really conservative, and I underdrove him the whole stint, and I felt like I did a good job. When it took them a few laps to come in, I was like, I'm on reds. Why I'm not really gaining on anybody? And all of a sudden, they clicked in, and it was great.
All right, Juan Pablo Montoya looking like the man of old out there today. Thanks.
It sounds like he's enjoying his time as well and being open and honest with us about his experience at St. Pete, and a very productive run here for the man who won in 1999. But today, it's Mike Conway's day. We'll wrap things up when we come back to Long Beach.
Another beautiful day in Long Beach, California. Mike Conway gets the victory in the 40th running of the Long Beach Grand Prix. Fun race and a lot of things going on. It was a very intense day. This is friends, Will Power and Simon Pagenaud, having a little discussion after the race. And I don't know if they're friends any longer. We have caught up with Simon Pagenaud, and let's chat about what exactly happened with you and Will in the discussion after the race, and what did you guys get done there?
Well, I think it's pretty clear what happened there. It's yeah, I hate to complain, to be honest, but when somebody like we and you whinge about everything, especially people taking you out, then you don't take people out and say you never do it. It's like it just doesn't. It's not right to me, and very disappointed. I think we had a car to win. We had a great package, and he pretty much ruined our race, our chance. So as you can imagine, I'm very disappointed in that. But
there you see you wagging your finger at Will Power as you go by.
It's the right finger. I was very careful with that.
Well, what happened in the incident? You guys are former teammates and fairly good friends.
We were very good friends until now, I guess. We won't be going on vacation together, I guess. But I don't know, man. It's just, one of those things. He
said you slowed down dramatically, he said.
Racing, green flag, and I slowed down. Good for him.
And he didn't seem to want to hear his apology either, did you?
Did I want to hear his apology? I think it's a little late for that. So, it just ruined my race, as you can imagine. I'm disappointed, but I'm going to move on that. I mean, it's done. I got P5, which isn't bad considering the situation.
From last to P5, too. That's impressive.
The car was fast, man, and that's why I'm disappointed. But the SPM team was awesome. Honda was great, and we are P5. It's a pretty good start of the season, and hopefully we can win when we have a good car like this again soon.
Lee, we learned in that interview that Simon Pagenaud had a great race, drove from the back to the front up to 5th, and that he and Will Power will not be going on vacation any longer.
The Frenchman is resilient. He's had a pair of 5ths in the opening 2 races of the year, and he just hangs tough. That's why he finished 3rd in the championship last year. Speaking of the championship, this is how it looks. We've got a new man in 2nd. It's Mike Conway, and Will Power's advantage grows from 12 to 27.
It does, and look at Carlos Munoz, our rookie, in the top 10. In fact, 3 out of our 4 rookies finished in the top 10 today at Long Beach.
Paul Tracy, great to have you with us and get the opinions of a 4-time winner here on the streets of Long Beach. What do you take away from today?
Well, obviously disappointment for Dixon, disappointment for Hunter-Reay. A fantastic drive, I think, for Montoya. He was 8th now in the points, and he had a bad run in St. Pete. So a solid building block for him, but look at Mike Conway. Small team, small team, 2-time winner now. Incredible.
You like this seat? We look forward to seeing you back here on NBCSN later in the year.
Well, it's hectic. It's something I'm not used to, but hanging out with you guys is pretty cool.
That's PT Paul Tracy. We thank him very much. And stay tuned. A reminder that Mecum Prime is next, and the Verizon IndyCar Series continues here on NBCSN in 2 weeks. It's Sunday, April 27 at 2:30 Eastern. It's the Honda Grand Prix of Alabama, a road course, and it always throws up some pretty good racing. For all the information you need to know about the Verizon IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. On behalf of the entire team, we congratulate Ed Carpenter and Mike Conway. What a day in California.